Whether the team is performing clean or unsightly, we'll cover it all here on Washington Football Nightly. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, we're not quite at code red just yet, but we're definitely at orange. And I can tell you this right now, this feels like code red. I won't bring myself to say that this is a code red game in week number 4 of the season. I can't bring myself to do it unless we were over right now, but we're not. I mean, conceivably, we could lose this game. I mean, if we lose to the Falcons, it's probably done. I mean, there may not be any coming back from that. You know, that might be the nail in the coffin. However, you could conceivably lose, go to 1-3, win next week at New Orleans, and somehow beat the Chiefs the week thereafter and get back to 3-3. Who knows what the hell the Chiefs are on right now? They're 1-2. They're on the road again this week at Philly. If they don't win that game, they're 1-3 and they're spiraling out of control. We all expect them to win that game, but then again, we all expected them to win last week at home against the Chargers. That's family business. I get it. But nonetheless, you don't want to go down that road. We don't want to go down the path of having to try to win multiple games that we have no business trying to win. Hell, we're having a tough time winning the games that we think we're supposed to win, let alone the ones that we have no business having a chance at, like we had this past weekend. You know, we thought we could go in there and be competitive. We got our doors blown off. So I don't want to say it's code red because it's week 4. After this week, there's still 13 of these things left. But for all intents and purposes, it's as close to red as you can get without actually being red. The reddest orange that you can think of, that's what this game is. The reddest orange that you can come up with, that's what this game is. Before we talk more about the Falcons game and leading up into the game, I want to talk about the film. So we still don't have the all 22s. The NFL is really jerking us around here. But what I was able to do was just go through the game, watch it again like I did last week, and this time actually break down the film and give you guys a little snippet of what I saw in the game. It's hard to really dissect everything the way you want to and get into it, but I can see what's going on. You know, even in the TV copy, I can see enough of what's going on to be able to tell you what's going on, but there's nothing like the all 22s. Anyway, I put that film up. So if you're a member of Patreon and you're a part of one of the different memberships on Patreon, it's available to you. Check out the film breakdown of both the offense and the defense. I only broke down, I think, like the first 3 possessions for both the offense and defense, and then I couldn't stomach any more of it. It was so bad. A lot of it was. So I just wanted to talk about some of the things, but there were certain things that I did want to bring up. One of the things I brought up in the film study, and without going into it too much, is that for some reason, fans, and I'm included in this, but I've been thinking this, but I haven't said it out loud until now. As fans, we have been giving Jon Bostic the hardest of times, and rightfully so. Jon Bostic, generally, if Jon Bostic plays in 50 snaps, we're going to be unsatisfied with 40 of them, more likely than not, if not 45 of them, okay? And in any event, Jon Bostic isn't as bad as all of you try to make him out to be. He's not great, and I told you I don't want him anywhere near my starting lineup, but what can you do? You know, I can tell you that they're putting Jamin Davis in the game more and more, and Jon Bostic is seeing his snaps decrease more and more, depending on what the opposition is doing. But Jon Bostic is seeing his snap count decrease week by week, and Jamin Davis is seeing his go up week by week. That said, for some strange reason, in all of the Jon Bostic hate, gets lost that Cole Holcomb hasn't been good this year to this point. Like, we just ignore Cole Holcomb's F-ups and just blame everything on 53. You know, there's times where 53 isn't even on the field and he's still getting blamed for things. You know, Jon Bostic stinks. Well, he wasn't in on that play. Okay. Cole Holcomb hasn't been good this year to this point. And we know this guy has elite level talent. We know how good he can be. He hasn't been good this year. And I highlighted that in the film breakdown. Another thing, Chase is getting chipped, but that's not an excuse. Do you want to tell the rest of the league, hey, if you really want to block our ends, just chip them, just double them. They can't find a way to win. Like, we hear all the time, chip, got to chip the chipper. Okay, well then do it. Okay. You know you're getting chipped. You see it's a tight end in the backfield. You know he's on the way out and he's going to get a piece of you. Find a way to set up to where either you can get to him one-on-one or you can make him and the tackle essentially go against one another, or you force that tight end to stay in longer. That frees up one of your linebackers to maybe do something else. But figure out a way to be still a part of the play, still be impactful on that snap despite getting chipped. We don't want to hear, I got chipped. Oh, I got chipped. What can I do? Von Miller gets chipped all the time and still gets to the quarterback. Aaron Donald is double teamed on almost every snap, and he finds a way to get to the quarterback. If you really want to get there, you can get there. That said, Chase Young was not terrible in this game like a lot of you think. Okay? Not like a lot of you think. He wasn't great, though. He's nowhere near the level that we expect from him, and the standard that we hold him to, he's nowhere close to that. Nowhere close. But he wasn't nearly as bad as a lot of you thought in this game, just so you understand. Really disappointed once again in the performance of the secondary. That goes without saying. Benjamin St. Juste, for the second week in a row, I thought was the most consistent player, and go figure. As soon as we start getting excited about that, he's in concussion protocol. He may not play this week. But thought Landon Collins, Ron said this, and I can actually say that I saw it with my own two eyes. Landon Collins actually made some plays up around the line of scrimmage. Now, you still don't really want Landon in coverage, but even there were a couple of times where Landon wasn't bad in coverage either. Ron went out to say that, look, I really like these safeties. Cam Curl, Bobby McCain, Landon Collins. I like this trio of safeties that we have. I thought this was their best game to this point of the season, those three. I thought where the problems really existed for us in this game were the linebackers and the corners specifically, not the entire secondary. That's been an issue the first 2 weeks. I thought the safeties actually weren't that bad in this game. I thought more of the blame should be placed on the corners. William Jackson III had a complete, utter bust of coverage. And if not for the pressure of Chase Young, yes, Chase Young actually got pressure on the quarterback. He does do that still. And Daron Payne, it's a touchdown. It's a 65-yard touchdown. But because Daron Payne and Chase Young got pressure on the quarterback, Josh Allen overthrew a wide open Stephon Diggs, and you probably remember that play. He had a pass interference on a 3rd and 8. We were going to get off the field and force a punt. I thought it was an egregious call. He was guilty of something. More likely than not, to me, holding. I don't know if the ball was in the air or not. But if you're going to call him for anything, pass interference, holding, whatever, legal contact, whatever the hell you want to call him for, Stephon Diggs at the least should have been called for offensive pass interference. You cannot shove a guy 4 yards up the field and he gets called for a penalty. And I explained that on the film. He was not great in this game. He wasn't terrible. Again, William Jackson III was not terrible. The worst player in the secondary in this game was Kendall Fuller. And Fuller right now, to me, and I think this goes for a lot of the guys on defense right now, they're just overthinking everything. They're not playing the game of football, they're thinking. And in this game, when you don't play, when you're thinking and you don't just go out and play and you're overthinking things, it slows down your movements and you don't do the things that you normally do. And I thought his zone coverage was just absolutely horrible in this game. And the linebackers were just as bad, if not worse. Cole Holcomb and John Bostic in particular. Holcomb was just not good in this game. Just not good. And all of these guys are culprits. They're killing us in zone coverage because they're not adhering to certain principles and they're not doing the simple things. And, you hear Ron and Jack all the time talk about it's just this thing here, it's this that thing there, and you hear guys talk about, well, it's just one guy on this play and one, and that's true, and that's all it takes in the NFL is for one guy to not do his job on any given play, and it can mess up the other 10. And multiple times I'm seeing in these long down and distance situations, whether it's 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 15, 3rd and 6, or even the short ones like 3rd and 3, I'm watching guys make mistake after mistake after mistake, and it's just nauseating. And I break that stuff down on film, but I want to put a cap on week 3's debacle by just saying this. I feel, and I always tell you guys this when I watch film, and I haven't watched film yet, which is why I haven't been as optimistic as I have in the past, but I continue to be optimistic because of the talent and the coaching staff. But normally I tell you guys, man, it felt a lot worse, but when I went back and watched the tape, I feel a lot better. That was my song last year that I kept singing after each loss, after the Ravens loss, after the Rams loss, after the Giants loss, the first time around, after the Cowboys win, after the Giants loss again. I kept telling you, this sucks. We're 2-7. We're 2-6. But man, I see it, but we still aren't putting it together. Watching the game back, even though it wasn't truly the film, the all 22s, when you pay attention to specific players and you look at what they're supposed to be doing, it gives you hope that they can fix a lot of the things that are wrong and turn it around. The talent is definitely there. And I'm as optimistic as I've been all season long that this is the game. For the first time all season long, we're getting a statue in Matt Ryan back there behind center. Justin Herbert can move. Daniel Jones can move. And so can Josh Allen. And so did Josh Allen. So for the first time, we're going to get a guy that we know his address. We know where to send that sack postcard. And when he opens it up, gotcha. We know where to send it. Hard to locate the other guys that we've played the first 3 weeks of the season. Now, again, still got to get there. And the Falcons are licking their chops. And so let's put week 3 behind us and start turning our attention to week 4 and what kind of a game this is. Let's not kid ourselves. If we don't beat the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm not one of these people that talk about how we need to win by X amount of points for this to be a valid victory. I don't give a shit how many points we win by. I told you when we played the Giants, and I guaranteed a victory. I'm not doing that this week. Okay. I guaranteed a victory. And I said, I don't care. And, you know, there were several of you that came up here that said, hey, we're going to blow them out. We're going to destroy them, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, look, I don't really give a shit about how many more points we have than them. It just needs to be 1. That's it. I just want to be able to look up at the scoreboard at the end, and we have 1 more point than they do. That's it. And if that's the same outcome, just like it was against the Giants in this game against the Falcons, I don't give a shit if it's 15-14 and we beat them with 5 field goals. Don't care. I just need it. You may feel bad after the win. Oh my God, it didn't feel like a win. Well, it's a win. It's a win. That's all I want. I always say, just get me to November. It used to be November, where we're trending right now, and it's only 3 games, but where we're trending, I may have to beg for some October meaningful football when we play the Denver Broncos right before the bye week. Can I at least go into the bye with meaningful football still left ahead on the schedule when we come off the bye week? That becomes in serious jeopardy if you can't beat the Atlanta Falcons. And I hate to talk about the Falcons as if they're some doormat and like we're more respectable than them. We got the same exact record. You know what this game feels like to me? This game feels exactly like Carolina last year. Exactly like Carolina. NFC South opponent. You look at them, you size them up, you say, oh, they stink, we should beat them. They're not playing for anything. This is different because the Falcons are playing for something. But the Panthers weren't playing for anything except pride and trying to, you know, build a little bit of momentum going into next year. And we felt like we should have won that game. They're not that good. We're better. We're trying to win a division crown. They're not playing for anything. And I looked at their record. I said, their record isn't a great indication of who they are. They're much better, and they've lost a lot of close games. Now, I'm not saying that's the case for the Falcons. They got their doors blown off the first 2 weeks before nearly escaping with a narrow victory over the Giants. That said, that's how we got to 1-2, a narrow escape victory over the Giants. Now, we weren't blown out in week 1, but we were handled very soundly in week 3. And that's an understatement. We got our asses kicked in week 3. So our path to 1-2 isn't that much dissimilar from the Falcons' path to 1-2. Somebody after this game, whether you believe it or not, is going to be 2-2. The Falcons aren't going anywhere. So why waste 2-2 on them, football gods? Bless us. Let us fight with the Cowboys for the division crown. Give us a chance to figure out what's troubling this team as we continue to win and stay relevant. This game, for all intents and purposes, and I have to keep stopping myself because I want to call it Code Red. It's not Code Red, but it's the reddest orange that you can get. Okay? We have to win this game. No ifs, no ands, no buts about it. And I would really prefer that we win this game. This is not mandatory. I would really prefer that we win this game handily and that the defense show up, show out, and start to build some confidence. I'm not holding my damn breath. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not holding my breath until this defense shows me that they have life. I'm just going to put the onus on the offense to take care of the football and outscore the Falcons. And I think they're fully capable of doing that, especially if we get Curtis Samuel back. Never, ever trust a man with 2 first names. Speaking of which, let's get to in other news, where Ron Rivera stepped to the podium today, among other people, players, coaches, things of that nature. And you know the first thing everybody cared about, that's the only thing that I really cared about, was, hey, man, what are we talking about with Curtis Samuel, man? And Ron pretty much said, look, he looked good today. We're going to see what he looks like tomorrow. You know Ron's statement. You know how Ron does. Going to see how he feels tomorrow. If he's sore, how does he do with the workload? If there's no setbacks, how does he do when we ramp him up a little bit more? So by all accounts, and remember, when we saw him the first time heading into week 1, all of us with the untrained eye was able to look at the little footage that we got from some of the beat reporters out there and say, he doesn't look right. That doesn't look clean at all. Watched some clips from the same beat reporters today, and I'm like, and that looks a lot better. And they even said themselves, he looks a lot faster, a lot sharper, coming out of breaks and cuts. He looks like he's healthy. But again, still got to wait and see. Take that wait and see approach. Still on IR. They have not activated him yet. They don't have to. They have 21 days from today, because he practiced, to then activate him, or else he's on IR for the remainder of the season. We know that's not going to be the case. So the question then becomes, when is he activated? Well, how he performs in practice and how his body responds the remainder of the week will determine whether he is activated for this week's game or not, which we could use the boost offensively. Not now, like right now. Speaking of injury reports and him not being on it, let's take a closer look at the injury report for week 4 versus the Atlanta Falcons as we start to turn our attention to those dirty birds in the A. So as we see here, the injury report is starting to get a little bit bigger for the Washington football team. It's been really skimp the first 3 weeks of the season, with only 2 guys on it in each of the first 2 weeks. Now we have 4. Now, here's the thing. Listening to Ron and the beat reporters, Charles Leno Jr., as you can see on the report, is just rest. Non-injury related, just a veteran they want to give rest to. Brandon Sheriff, he's not listed as a non-injury related because he did sustain an injury against the Bills. But from all reports, if there were a game today, he would have been able to play. So this is more of just, hey, he didn't need to be out there, but there's something still to keep an eye on. Benjamin St. Juice is the one that really concerns me. We didn't know about this until today, but obviously he's in the concussion protocol, and he's been the most consistent corner, which is crazy. I'm talking about a rookie playing in his third NFL game, and to this point, he's been the most consistent guy in the secondary. That's ridiculous, but that's what it is so far. I don't think he's playing this week, personally. We'll see. I'm gonna say we won't see Juice until next week. Ioannidis, I think he'll be back. He almost played last week. He was limited today. I expect him to play this week. That's my guess. We'll see. But I expect Matty I back this week. You get to the Atlanta Falcons side of things, and they've got 6 guys on the injury report as of right now. Marlon Davidson, their defensive tackle, ankle, did not practice. We'll see. I've always told you that Wednesday, not the best day to assess whether a guy's going to play or not. I think you start to get a real sense and feel on Thursday. You know, if those DMPs start to rack up and you got back-to-back DMPs, that Friday then becomes even more important, because if that's a limited, you got a shot. If that's another DMP, that guy's out. So Marlon Davidson, ankle, DMP. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Same with Russell Gage. He's ankle as well. We'll see if that holds up tomorrow. Frank Darby, wide receiver, calf injury, limited in practice today. Colby Gossett, along with safety Eric Harris, both limited, with Gossett with the illness. So that means he's going to be fine, more likely than not. Eric Harris with the back, and Adrian Terrell with a concussion was a full participant. So you might as well take him off the injury report. You know, unless he has some kind of a setback, he'll be playing this week for the Atlanta Falcons. So they've got quite a few names on their side of things. But I think, just like last week, I told you, I don't think anybody's missing the game for the Bills, and they didn't. We could see another situation with the Falcons where nobody on their injury report misses this ball game. But we will keep a watchful eye over both teams heading into the game. So we signed an old friend back to the practice squad. And, you know, for some of you out there, the Kelvin Harmon truthers out there in the stands, nobody signed him. So if he was that good, somebody would have put in a waiver claim for Kelvin Harmon, or at least said, hey, we'd love to have you on our practice squad. Nobody did. He was sitting out there waiting for us to call him. And as Robert Griffin III said, waiting for Washington to make the call. And they made the call today, and Kelvin Harmon is now back on the practice squad. Washington has been playing around with their practice squad, and I told you guys yesterday, Wes Martin was plucked from our practice squad by the New York Giants, which freed up another spot on that practice squad. And now with the Benjamin St. Juice injury, they may have to do some shuffling around, including maybe bringing up a corner from the practice squad if there is one currently there. If not, they may have to sign someone to the practice squad and have that guy waiting in the event of an emergency. So we know that we haven't seen the corner that made the team from Detroit. I haven't seen him all season long. So Roberts. We would probably see Roberts be elevated to the active roster and actually getting some snaps. We've seen Torrey McTyer in every game. It's just been very sparingly, but that would mean McTyer would have a bigger role, and that would mean Roberts would have a active roster spot and would be in the game potentially on Sunday against the Falcons. So we could see a little bit of shuffling there if Benjamin St. Juice isn't able to go. So that's something to keep an eye on as we move forward. So with that said, let's go ahead and transition to social media maneuvers and your comments and see what you guys have to say. Let's get to the comment section and get to any of the super chats that are available. Really appreciate you. If you guys are out there watching this video, I ask that you do me a huge solid really quickly and subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing, and also hit that like button as it doesn't cost you a thing, but it definitely helps this channel grow exponentially. So we start out with my guy, Twin D. Thank you for the super chat, and thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Greatly appreciate you. And for all the members of the mob, stand up. We in the building as always. Twin D writes, I see folks are excited about getting Samuel back. Is a linebacker and defensive responsibility coming with him? Good one. Good one, Twin D. No, but what Samuel may be able to do is help this team score more points, which will give them a fighting chance, even if the defense continues to struggle. What saved us in the Giants game, our only win of the season? The offense, scoring points, moving the football. If Samuel comes back and he's able to give this offense, just think about it this way, okay? If we have Curtis Samuel and he's as big of a difference maker as we believe him to be, and we could be overrating his importance to this offense and what he'll bring to it. But if he's as important a piece of this offensive attack as we have been led to believe, we probably beat the Los Angeles Chargers in week 1. I mean, we were very ineffective and inefficient offensively, despite the defense allowing the Chargers to possess the football for, I believe, 36 minutes of that ball game, I believe. Even when we got it, we didn't do shit with it. That was the problem. They'd give up a 7-minute drive. We'd get it. We'd go 3 and out, and then the defense would get up a 6-minute drive. And then they get it, and then they get 2 first downs, and then they punt, and then the defense would give up a 5-minute drive. And then they get it back. They finally score. Then the defense would give up a 4-minute drive. And then they get it back, and then they punt, and then the defense would give up a 7-minute drive, and then they get it back. They go 3 and out. The defense would give up a 4-minute drive, but it would only lead to a punt or a turnover. Because remember, the Chargers didn't score because they turned it over in the red zone twice. But they had the ball for these 5-6-minute drives, and then at the end of them, they turned it over. Both turnovers were inside the Washington 5-yard line. Remember, one was a pick at about the 4. The other was a touchback that went out of the back of the end zone. So both turnovers inside Washington's 5-yard line. So they had the football. Anyway, I understand where you're coming from. He does not play defense. That is the biggest issue. But we may have to outscore teams until the defense figures it out. If the defense is going to figure it out, we may have to outscore some teams. You know, we may have to outscore Atlanta. And the Falcons haven't been explosive and dynamic. I'd hate for this to be the week that they start trying to be explosive and dynamic defensively. But they haven't really been explosive and dynamic all season long. So if we can put up some points, we should be able to beat the Atlanta Falcons. They've struggled to score this season, but not like we've been lighting up the scoreboard ourselves, you know? So we'll see. I hear what you're saying and where you're coming from, though. I totally get it. Totally get it. Twin D, double up. Thank you for doubling up, Twin D. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Twin D, writes, LT, last week you challenged me to perform well at this week's Pick'em. Yeah, man, you killed it again. He says, last week 12-4, this week 13-3, but still did not win. Oh, well, no. You were fantastic. I thought you won again. You know, when I went through the sheets, you were the first name up there, and I said, shit, he got 3 losses. That's going to be tough to beat. You only lost on points. Literally, you lost on points. So, Bigger TV had 60 points. And the Cowboys and Eagles combined for 62 points. That last Jalen Hurts touchdown where he flung it going out of bounds and his guy caught it, that was the dagger right there. That was the one that put him over the top, or else you win for the second straight week. So I don't know what the hell you've been eating and drinking, but maybe you need to pass some this way because you've been on it, man. I've been struggling, but you've been on it. So I got to step my game up for sure. That is without a doubt. What up to everybody in the chats? Greatly appreciate you guys. My guy, JP, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. JP writes, I was elated when I heard Samuel was potentially coming off of IR. Well, don't get too excited yet. We've been down this road before. Go back to the very first episode of Washington Football Nightly for the season, episode 1.1. And I think it's titled Curtis Samuel is back and so are we, or something like that. And then episode 2 is conveniently or inconveniently named So about Curtis Samuel being back. So let's not get too excited, but he says we need offense badly. Plus, do you think Ron will make a trade if he gets desperate? No. Ron, see, this is the thing with the fan base versus Ron. I told you guys this all offseason repeatedly for this exact reason. I said, look, Ron isn't in a hurry here. Okay. This is year 2 of a rebuild in Ron's mind. And I told you guys the worst thing that happened to Ron was us winning the division, because for the fans' sake, not for the team's sake, for the fans' sake, the worst thing that Ron did was win the division, because that gave a lot of you out there false expectations as to where we are in this rebuild, where we are in Ron's plan. We're still in year 2 of Ron's plan. Like, this wasn't supposed to be 12-5 this year. It's not going to be 12-5. We didn't expect the defense to be this bad, though, right? We didn't think it was going to be 12-5 because the schedule was brutal and we still didn't know about the offense. Well, it seems like every year we talk about the defense, this is what happens. I remember in 16 and 17 us talking about how improved we thought the defense would be, and this, that, and the third, and that we think the offense is going to struggle, this, that, and the third, and the offense would come out and that would be our saving grace, and the defense stunk. Here we go again, and this was unexpected. This was unexpected, especially after the season we turned in, and all of the press and all of the hyping this defensive line and this defense as a whole and in general received for the play that we've gotten on the field. This is really disappointing. So no, Ron's not trading anything. Ron's not going to get desperate. That's what you have to understand. Ron isn't in desperation mode. Ron's job isn't on the line. Ron's in year 2 of what he came in here thinking would be a 3 or 4 year turnaround before we really started to compete at a high level consistently. So no, Ron, there will be no desperation with Ron Rivera this year. So don't expect any trades now, could we trade someone like a Brandon Sheriff? I wouldn't rule anything out, but I don't think we're going to do that either. But if someone came calling and we were out of it, if I'm Ron, I would listen, definitely. But again, I don't see that happening. So thank you for the super chat, JP. Dejan Bell, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Dejan Bell writes, do you think we missed out on Jimmy Moreland? Where is Jimmy? Did he sign somewhere else? I'm not sure. Let's find out where Jimmy is, because Kelvin Harmon was sitting at home this entire time. So let's find out if Jimmy has found somewhere to call home. Yeah, Jimmy's in Houston with the Texans. Did we miss out on Jimmy? I told you I had soured on Jimmy as I was so excited when we got him. You go back and watch that draft breakdown. I was all for the People's Corner, and he had gotten a nickname that summer as a rookie, and he had played well in some of those preseason games, and I was excited about Jimmy. But I was excited about Jimmy on the outside, not Jimmy that was playing inside. Two different dudes. And I think Jimmy had lost some of his confidence and swag outside. And you hear enough that you're not big enough, you're not big enough, you're not big enough. Hey, play slot, play slot, play slot. You just start to believe it. And I didn't think he had the instincts inside for the slot. So I wasn't the biggest, Jimmy supporter, but I still didn't think he was going to be cut. Remember, I got that one wrong. I didn't think Jimmy was going to get cut. That was a surprise to not just me. I think most of us out there didn't see Jimmy getting the axe. But no, I don't think we missed out on Jimmy. But I can say this, the secondary isn't playing all that well. Would Jimmy have made a difference? I don't think so. I really don't think so. So we'll see. Brendan McCloskey, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, B-Mac, writes, after watching your video last night, Lou, I am pumped up. We are all in for the season. No fake fans in the mob. The fake fans can watch the Braves lose in the playoffs. LOL. Oh, you had to come with a little cheap shot right in the ribs. Ouch. Keep up the great work, Lou. Thank you, Brendan. Really do appreciate you. Look, you didn't hear me say this phrase. I don't consider anybody to be a fake fan. Just because you're mad and you think this team stinks, you're not going to ever hear me say fake fans. I didn't utter those words or that phrase not a single time last night in my rant, because I don't ever question anyone's fandom. I'm just telling you, if you think the season's over, if you think we're going 3-14, then why are you even watching the games? It was my point. What are you watching the games for? If you think we're going 3-14, 2-15, or 1-16, if you think we're going 1-16, then obviously you think we're going to lose every single game left on the schedule. So what are you even watching for was my point. What's the point? Go watch baseball. Go enjoy yourself doing something else. Why waste your time doing this? And again, you can do whatever you want with your time. It's your time. You can do whatever you want. But my thing is, what's the point? If you think we're going to lose every game and you're already preparing for the draft, then go prepare for the draft. Go start figuring out scouting reports for this player and that player and this quarterback and that quarterback, which is what we need anyway, right? We're going to be in the top 10 anyway if we're going to go 3-13 or 3-14 or 2-16 or 2-15 or 1-16. So you're not a fake fan if you think the season's over already. You're just not in your right mind. That's all. And I say that in the kindest spirit possible. You're not in the right mind because you can't make that determination from 3 games in which we could have won 2 of the 3. We could have lost all 3, but we could have won 2 out of the 3, and you got 14 left. With this staff and the talent that we have, and I know you hear that and you say, what talent do we have? Come on, man. We have talent. Guys didn't forget how to play football. Chase Young didn't forget how to play football. Montez Sweat didn't forget. Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen, these guys didn't forget how to play football. Cole Holcomb didn't forget how to play football. Jamin Davis is continuing to come along. So is Benjamin St. Juice. Landon Collins and Kendall Fuller and William Jackson III and Bobby McCain and Cameron Curl. These guys didn't forget how to be ballers. They're just not balling right now. That's not to say that they won't. Who thought we were going to win 4 games in a row last year and ultimately capture the NFC East? Who thought we were going to do that after the second loss to the Giants that brought us to 1-6? Who thought we were going to do that? Anybody? I can't even raise my hand on this one because after Kyle Allen broke his ankle, I was done. That was my last straw. What I'm saying is it's a long season. The Cowboys look good today. They could look like ass tomorrow. This is a week-to-week league. Trust me, when I tell you something, if you don't believe anything else I say, believe this. This is a proven fact. This is a week-to-week league. You can look like ass one week and the best team in the league the next. Seen it happen many a times. You need a much larger sample size than 3 weeks to determine that somebody absolutely stinks and is garbage can juice and they're not going to win very many more games. Now, for some teams, they're the outlier. Like the Jets, they're the worst team in the league. They got shut out by the Broncos. And the week before that, their quarterback threw 4 interceptions and they scored 6 points. They're going to be one of the worst teams in the league, if not the worst team in the league. I don't need any more games to determine that. You can't say the same for us. So I don't consider anybody out there that thinks this team is going to be 3-14 or, 2-15 or 1-16 to be fake fans. You'll never hear that come out of my mouth. Everybody goes about their fandom differently. I'm just saying, if you think we're going to lose that many games, you think we're going to lose all these games in a row, then just go watch baseball. Just go watch baseball. Save yourself the stress, the frustration. Go watch baseball. Much calmer sport. Slower, easier to keep up with. Go watch baseball. That was the only thing I was trying to say. But I don't think anybody in this fan base is a fake fan. You wouldn't be passionate if you were a fake fan. Fake fans are able to turn off the television and be indifferent. You're not really a fan. You're emotionally invested because you're a real fan. And that's what makes you upset when this team performs poorly, because you care. That makes you a real fan. But don't go over the top is what I'm essentially saying. That's it. Don't go over the top. That's why I'm here to try to keep you somewhat balanced. Sometimes you may not agree with me, and that's fine. I told you we're not always going to agree. And I respect your opinion. And If we don't agree on something, we can agree to disagree. But I'm here to try to keep you somewhat balanced. Somewhat. I don't always achieve my goal, and my message isn't always the best. Sometimes I'm a little too optimistic, and I told you that's my nature. Sometimes I can be a little bit too pessimistic, too harsh, but it always balances itself out. And that's what I always aim to do for you guys. Try to, at least. Thank you for the super chat, Brendan McCloskey. Enigma RJ, thank you for the super chat. Enigma RJ, greatly appreciate you, who writes, Sup, Lou? Sup, Enigma? After watching the game for the second time, the defense is not that bad. I believe if the DNs can match the timing of the defensive tackles, we would get better performance. And again, I've been kind of alluding to that the biggest issue, with the rush is that it's not in unison. It's not well orchestrated by the four of them. And to take it a step further, it's not being choreographed well by the coordinators either. You know what I'm saying? It's not just the players on the field. They're not putting these guys in the best positions to succeed either. I'll give you an example. You know that we're going to get chipped. You know Chase or Montez or both are going to get chipped on third down. Well then, and they've been doing this. This is an adjustment that I've seen. We'll move them to the same side. You can't chip both of them if they're on the same side, right? Slide one guy inside or have a guy outside of that guy. And I've always said, just overload a side. Just get aggressive. Get creative. Overload a side. Take Chase Young, move him on the same side with Montez Sweat, and then have a guy blitzing up the A gap on that same side. Overload a side. You know, do some creative things. We haven't seen that. You got to spice this thing up. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I agree with you. You know, they're not rushing in unison. And that's what my film essentially pointed out. If you watch the film, you know, you can see it on the TV copy. So if you have the TV copy, you can watch it yourself. But I pointed that out in the film breakdown that I did. That's one of the biggest issues, is that they're not on the same page. They are not in sync right now. One guy's winning and somebody else is doing their own thing, and all the quarterback has to do is step up. Two birds killed with one stone. Just step up. And we are not getting any pocket push. None whatsoever. Thank you for the super chat, RJ Enigma. Rob Yu, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Rob Yu. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, do you see a situation where we can run more man? William Jackson III made his name as a man corner in Cincinnati and can do it. Just give Juice and Kendall help if need be. As much as I would like us to be able to just say, here's the blanket fix to all of our problems defensively, is just to play man. That wouldn't be the right answer. You know, could we play a little bit more man? Sure. Because we've been primarily a zone team right now. But I think they do that because the zone scheme fits more of the players that we have. But I don't want to make any excuses. Until a guy shows me he can't play, and again, I'm not at practice every day. But until a guy shows me he can't play man, all right, let's see what you got. Let's play some man. You know, and you can switch it up. That's the thing, is you got to switch it up. And I'm pretty sure if I were to sit down and watch the tape, I'd see some man coverage. There was a third down and 8. The one where William Jackson III, and this is one of the plays I broke down on film. That was man across the board. We came up, we mugged the A gaps, we mugged the entire line of scrimmage, and we were pressed across the board. Landon Collins on the tight end, Cole Holcomb on the running back, William Jackson III on Diggs, all the way across the board. St. Juice on Emmanuel Sanders, all the way across the board, we were manned up. Everybody tight to their man. And we had everybody at the line of scrimmage. It was beautiful. We dropped out, came with 5, and Josh Allen had nowhere to go with the football. The rush was a nice rush. That's why he threw the football. It was an errant throw, and he got bailed out by the officials. So they are running some man, but they're mixing it up. So they're not going to change the entire defensive scheme for one guy. You know what I'm saying? So in my mind, could they run more man? They could. Will they? I don't know. I don't know if that's Jack Del Rio's philosophy or not. I don't think that's his philosophy. After seeing him for a year and some change now here in Washington, you know, remember the whole excitement of the William Jackson III signing was that, oh, that's going to allow us to do some exotic things from a blitz perspective. And Ron even said so himself. Haven't seen it. So still waiting on that, Ron. So we'll see. Let's see. Zach LaRoche, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Zach LaRoche writes, I may be harebrained, but what about giving Chase a few snaps at D tackle? He'd learn how to use power leverage and gets a break from going against offensive tackles. To me, that is what the elites do, is move around. Aaron Donald, he can play tackle, he can play end, and same results. Whether he's getting double teamed by the center and guard or he's going one-on-one with the tackle, same results. He's whooping ass. Myles Garrett, I used him as an example last week of a guy that the Browns move inside sometimes. Okay, you want to chip Myles Garrett? You can't chip him when he's inside. You can double him. Good luck. You're going to need it. He's a horse. You know, and there are ways to create one-on-ones. So you want to double me? A? All right. I'll mug the A gap with a linebacker. So you can't have the center help. And I'll take that that end, line up wide, so that tackle has to widen out to get to that guy. And now Chase has one-on-one with the defensive tackle. And I can bring another rusher off the edge if I so choose, right, to occupy that running back if they want to go that route. But I usually don't worry about that running back. If he stays in the block, good. That means that's one less guy that's in the pass route for the defense to have to worry about. So there are ways to do it. You just got to be creative. I'm not sure we're doing that right now. But I think that's something they could take a look at is, you know, moving guys around and giving the offense different looks. 99 and 90 don't always have to line up in, you know, out as a defensive end. So I'm with you, Zach. I don't think that would hurt at all. Zacchaeus Maggette III, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Zacchaeus Maggette III writes, Marcus Spear made a great point about Chase and Sweat being selfish and sack hungry and trying to sprint around the tackle. I hope they listen to him. I mean, that's what we've all been saying. And I can't speak for you guys. That's what I've been saying, is that what they've effectively have been doing is being selfish. You know, they're not playing within the scheme. Like I talked about it and I pointed this out during the film. When Daron Payne was winning early in the ball game, especially early in the game, Chase Young isn't complimenting his rush because he's screaming up the field 12 yards. All Josh Allen has to do is just step up. And Jonathan Allen's getting double teamed. And so there's nobody collapsing the pocket. How is that beneficial? Your D tackle wins, but you're 10 yards up the field, so there's nobody there to actually make that win stick. Sometimes being a defensive lineman is selfless. And these guys, I get it. You get paid by numbers, by statistics, by sacks. You know, Jadeveon Clowney hasn't gotten that big payday that he's been seeking. Why? One, he can't stay healthy. Two, He's never had a double-digit sack season in his career. In this league, you get paid off of numbers. Everybody wants them. You want that, you want to be the first defensive end to command a $150 million contract. Well, you got to put up some big numbers. That's what Chase and Montez are looking to do. And they're doing it at the expense of the rest of the defensive line. And that's not fair. This is the thing about sacks. If you do your job, they'll come. If Daron Payne starts eating inside, if Jonathan Allen starts eating inside, you know what that's going to force the offense to do? Start paying attention to those guys. Now you get less chips and doubles. Now they got somebody else to worry about. But when you get those one-on-ones, you better win. And that's the part that's frustrating, is that not only are you being selfish and it's affecting other guys, but when you do get your one-on-one, you're not taking advantage of it. And that's frustrating. So, you know what was crazy about the Giants game when we got sacks and pressure on Daniel Jones? What was the common thread there? It wasn't that Chase or Montez won immediately off the edge. It was a rush that was a group committed effort. When Daniel Jones was sacked, the pocket completely engulfed him. 4 guys rushing on the same page, in unison with one another, and there's nowhere for you to go. Can't escape outside, can't step up, engulfed. Those are the best sacks to me, because it shows 4 guys on the same page. Now, trust me, I'd love to just see Montez or Chase win and get to the quarterback and knock it out of his hand. That's even better. But some of the best sacks are the ones where it's just a jailbreak. Whole pocket collapses, engulfs the quarterback, and all he can do is just go into the fetal position. He's got nowhere to go. We did that a lot last year, where there's just nowhere for the quarterback to go. We haven't done that but 1 or 2 times this year. And to me, that's the difference. So we'll see what happens. Got another super chat here from Kevin, from King of the North. Excuse me. Thank you for the super chat, King of the North. Greatly appreciate you, and thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, King of the North, writes, Matt Ryan is 5-0 versus us. Every time we play them, we get excited because he's a statue, only to watch them completely destroy the pass rush with play action, and our D linemen better be ready. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And if we're not ready, he'll destroy us again. But in those games, when they were 5-0, they always had Julio Jones. Julio! They don't have him anymore. They were more dynamic offensively. They're not that right now. That doesn't mean they can't be. That doesn't mean they can't be, but they're not that right now. So far in this young season, Cordero Patterson has been their best offensive weapon. Understand what I just said. Or at least the most consistent. Anyway, those streaks are made to be broken. Russell Wilson was 7-0 against the Minnesota Vikings up until last week. They lost 30-17. Those streaks are made to be broken. So I'm not fazed by him being 5-0. All that means is he's due for a loss. He's due to take an L. Why not now? Now's as good a time as any for him to take that L. So we better be prepared, because on film, if I'm an offensive coordinator and I'm playing this defense right now, I'm licking my chops, because I see all kinds of undisciplined mistakes and guys not where they're supposed to be, and opportunities to put high-low reads on these linebackers and force them into mistakes. I just see a lot of opportunities if I'm an offensive coordinator going up against this Washington defense right now. Guys with their eyes somewhere else other than where it should be. They're not minding their luggage, and their luggage is getting lost. It's 2 weeks in a row we've seen a massive defensive breakdown where a guy is running 7 to 10 yards behind our defense. It was Diggs this week. It was Slayton the week before. Got lucky both times. More so this time, the first time against the Giants than this time, because we actually got to Josh Allen this time that forced the errant throw. But still, you don't want to bank on that. Thank you for the super chat, Kevin and PR. And I'll say this, King of the North. Sorry about that. I'll say this, King of the North. He is a statue, but he's a statue that knows how to get rid of the football. And everybody else has been killing us with the quick game. And if we don't have our act together, he'll do it too. He'll do it too. Daniel Morgan, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Right. What up, Lou? What up, Daniel? Someone brought this up a couple of days ago. We don't ever see Turner sitting on the bench with Heineke going over plays on the tablet. That is very concerning to me. What do you think? Well, he can't because he's up in the press box and Heineke's on the sidelines. He's not one of these offensive coordinators that likes the field view. He likes to be up over like his dad so he can see the whole field and have a better, feel for what's going on, at least in his mind. He's not a field level guy. He's not on the sidelines interacting with players. He can call Taylor Heineke on the little phone and they can talk and go over things that way. But the reason you haven't seen Scott Turner sitting on the bench with Taylor Heineke going over the tablet is because he physically can't do that because he's in the press box. So who's going over the tablet with Heineke on the sidelines after possessions is his quarterback's coach, Ken Zampese. That's who's going over the tablet with him, not Scott Turner. So he's going through the plays and looking at, the snaps and seeing what they could have done differently with a coach. It's just not the one you want him to, but that guy's not available. He's upstairs looking down at the game, not on the sidelines. So that's why you haven't seen that, Daniel. Thank you for the super chat. Chauncey Davis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Chauncey Davis, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Writes, Lou, Chauncey, you tried to warn us this summer about the schedule. Ron said we're a year ahead of the schedule. The culture change is evident even in defeat. Relax. It's easy to say that. It's hard for fans to actually do it. Like, I can't tell you how many fans in the offseason said, hey, man, we're ahead of schedule. It's year 2 of Ron. I'm loving it. Ron's playing this, Ron playing that, not getting off the bus. I'm not getting out of the car. I got my seatbelt on, yada, yada, yada. All the things we talked about this offseason. And then the first side of trouble, they want out. We got the child rear safety locks on, and they're like, look, let me out. I want out of this thing. Don't make me jump out of the window. I will. Let me out. So it's a lot easier to say that when games aren't being played. When the games start being played and they start counting wins and losses, fans lose their damn minds. And that's what we're seeing early in this season is that despite the plan being one of patience and allowing the process to play itself out, fans don't want to be patient. They want instant results and instant gratification. And it's not how this works. Not when you've been as bad as we have for the last, 20, 25, I venture to say almost 30 years with, flash in the pan season here and there. People are impatient. They want to win. They want to win now. But you can't turn what was one of the worst run franchises in the league around overnight. It's going to take a while. Not to mention we don't have the quarterback yet of the future, more likely than not. So, it's a lot that goes into it. I'm with you. I've been trying to get people to just understand that this is year 2 of what Ron believes is a 4-year plan. He told us blunt and plain as day when he first got here in the military, it takes 4 years to change a culture, 3 to 4 years. And that was his way of passive aggressively saying, hey, Rome wasn't built in a day. And neither will this roster and neither will the results you're looking for. They won't be built in a day either. Won't be built in a season or 2, maybe 3, depending on how fast we're able to fast track this thing. but don't look for it until like 2022. And I told you guys when Ron got here, I said the first year I'll have serious expectations for this team, like 12 wins and a division crown and one of the better teams in the conference is 2022. I haven't moved off of that, even though we don't have the quarterback yet. I haven't moved off of that. That's still the hope. We're building this roster. And Ron, he has pretty much echoed everything I said, and I'm glad to hear it, that he's essentially trying to build the roster, and he's modeling what they're doing after how the Bills did it. The Bills built their roster up while Tyrod Taylor was holding it down for him at quarterback, but they continued to build that roster up. And then when they finally got Josh Allen, obviously it wasn't great in his rookie season, but by year 2, Allen had taken his lumps, and now he was ready to lead. And they went to the postseason in Josh Allen's second year. And you saw what they did in year 3 of Josh Allen last year, where he tore it up and was in the conversation for league MVP. So now we find ourselves in year 4 of Josh Allen. And he's like, that's what I want to do. I want to build the roster up, and I want to drop the quarterback in the middle and just take off. And that's what Ron's doing. I like what he's doing with the roster. Love what he's doing with the roster. But it's a process. So hard to get the fans to understand that when they were expecting big things this year. And that's the problem. There was a disconnect between what Ron has been saying and what the fans interpreted. And it was two different things. And I don't think his message has been mixed at all. Ron's been pretty blunt and transparent about what this process was going to look like. And fans just went and made up their own narrative. And that's how we've gotten to this point. Now, again, the defense wasn't supposed to be a part of this whole deal that we're talking about. The schedule is being tough and all that. The defense, regressing back to the form of 2016 and 17, that wasn't a part of the plan at any point. Ron's plan, our plan, doesn't matter whose plan. The defense being one of the worst in the league, it looks like, wasn't a part of that plan. So they got to get their shit straight. But I digress. Thank you for the super chat, Chauncey Davis. John Perez, my guy, JP, double up, thank you for doubling up, JP. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, John Perez writes, we have to beat one of these teams like KC, Green Bay, Tampa, and Seattle, regardless if it's suicide. We're due a couple of upsets. The biggest thing that I said one of the biggest things I said were the 5 keys to the season was, I think it was like the 4th or 5th one of the keys was going to have to go 2 and 3 versus the big 5 on the schedule. And the big 5 were Buffalo, Kansas City, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and Seattle. Those were the big 5 because of the quarterbacks. Needed to go 2 and 3, no less than 2 and 3. Anything better than that, that's house money at that point. But you have to find a way to win 2 out of those 5 games. Well, we're 0 for 1. And that might have been, I think Seattle is a winnable game. But of the 5, Buffalo and Josh Allen might have been the most winnable. Well, that was a disaster, wasn't it? So I don't really know where that leaves us. But I didn't think we were going to beat Pittsburgh last year. So we'll see. We may have 1 or 2 tricks up our sleeve as we continue to grow and this defense gets back into gear. Maybe we have a couple of tricks up our sleeve. Offense gets better and we start to play, well with one another. Pause. Maybe the offense gets into a rhythm. The defense starts to come alive and look out Kansas City. Look out Green Bay. Look out Tampa off a bye. Who knows? We'll see. Alex Kurz. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Alex, writes, is there a way for Ioannidis to be on the field at the same time as the starting 4 does that not work? Yes, there is a way he can be on the field with all 4 of those guys. They've done it before. As a matter of fact, they did it in week 1 quite often, I might add, where they had a 5-man defensive line. We saw it a bunch in week 1. Where you had Ioannidis, Payne, and Allen all in the middle with Young and Sweat on the edges as pass rushers. So, yes, there's a way that that can be done. They've done it quite a bit. And we'll probably see that again at some point this season. I don't think they're done with that. So, absolutely, that's a thing. Without a doubt. Without a doubt, Alex. Jenny Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat, Jenny, who writes, "Hi, Lou. Hey, Jenny. Hope Jamin Davis can cover Pitts. And would be nice to see Matt Ryan not have a field day against us, even if we do win. Our D needs to show up." And I kind of alluded to that at the beginning of the show, that I don't care how we win, even if it's 41-40, but I would prefer it to be in a dominant manner in which the defense comes out and looks like what we expected them to look from the get-go. That would be most ideal, is if, we beat the Falcons 31-13. We forced, 2 turnovers, 3 turnovers, even if it's only 2 or 1, or even none. And we sacked Matt Ryan 6 times and we harass him. We really make life tough for them. They're 2 of 11 on third downs. Like, that would be ideal. Don't hold your breath, though. Like, what I've learned over the years is don't put yourself in that position where you're going to be super disappointed. You know the mantra, the motto. Hope for the best, expect the worst. Okay, that's how I go into most of these games. I was starting to train myself to not feel that way. I'm back to feeling that way now. Expect the worst, hope for the best, of course, always. That's the optimism in me. Hope for the best, expect the worst. That's frustrating to do, but it's a defense mechanism that is necessary when you've been battered and bruised for over 30 years like we have as a fan base. So, yeah, without a doubt. I'm with you, Jenny. I don't think Jamin Davis is going to be covering Kyle Pitts a ton. We'll probably be in zone, and if we go to man, you probably will see Landon Collins or Bobby McCain or somebody like that on him. But, there may be some matchups where he does get, a linebacker on him. We'll see. But I just like the fact that Jamin is continuing to grow. That's what I really am impressed with and am happy to see. So I'm with you. I need the defense to show up, gain some confidence, and see if that can't bubble over until the following week, versus New Orleans. Like, that's what you're looking for, right? Like, an opportunity for us to gain confidence, win a game, and have that confidence bubble over and swell into the next week's contest. And all of a sudden, you get that defensive swagger back just in time for the Chiefs in week 6. That's the hope. But it starts in Atlanta. Dewan Porch, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Dewan, writes, all this Chase Young talk, he's not the only guy on the D front. Facts. People lunching, concerned about how we are planning, not worried about the season yet. Yeah. I that's something else that I pointed out. Like, hey, a lot of people are putting the onus on Chase Young as if he's the only guy not performing to the standards of this defense. We had high aspirations, and this is the difference between Chase Young, and this is why, while I defend Chase Young, I don't defend him wholeheartedly, and I only defend him to a certain extent because nobody else was drafted second overall. No one else was drafted despite quarterbacks being on the board. Chase Young was. Even though that was supposed to be the pick, that's the pick that I wanted, and I'm not backing down from it. Obviously, hindsight is 2020. We would have taken Justin Herbert if we would have known then what we know now, but we didn't. And that's fine. The pick all along back then was Chase Young, and I don't feel bad about it. And people hold him to this ridiculous standard because he was the second pick in the draft. And there were quarterbacks on the board that we decided to pass on to take him. So I get it. And he does too. And again, to whom much is given, much is expected. That said, he is not the only one that isn't doing their job. It's a lot of blame to go around. Seems like a lot is being dumped on Landon Collins, John Bostic, and Chase Young. A lot being dumped on those three players. They are not the only ones, you know. And some of you are dumping on Kendall Fuller, and you should right now. He's not playing well. I know he can play better. You know he can play better. And then he will. I expect him to. So, yeah, I think that right now, more of the onus, I think, needs to go to the staff to do a better job of demanding these players of perfection. I don't think they're getting enough out of them, and to putting them in better positions to succeed. And then, yes, the players need some of this blame as well. They're not absolved of wrongdoing here. They're being coached to do things a certain way. You know how to play cover three. Like, your coach doesn't have to explain to you how to play cover three. You're in the NFL. You know how to play cover three. You know how to play cover four. You don't have an imminent threat in your zone. Go be a football player. Why do I have to explain everything to you? Why are you guarding grass and there's nobody within a 5-yard radius in any direction yet? A player just ran out of your zone and now he's wide ass open and you just let him go. Loosey-goosey, let him go free. And now he's open for a first down on 3rd and 6 when you could have been running with him. Why? Where's the psychological sense in that, player? You need to wash your face and get your mind right. None of that makes any sense to me. So the players aren't innocent in all of this. But I do put a lot of the onus on the coaching staff. They need to get more out of these players. It's too much talent on this roster. Too much talent not to be maximizing it and getting more from it. So I'm with you, Dewan. It's not just Chase Young. Thank you for the super chat, Dewan Porch. Red Wings 01. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Red Wings 01, writes, both Taylor and the coaches have to take greater advantage of his mobility. It's obvious he can't play his brand of ball as a pure pocket passer. I'm with you. I thought one of the big, and I think I said this on the overtime program, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of my biggest issues with Taylor in the Bills game is he refused to move. He didn't have to move against the Giants. The Giants don't have a pass rush. And remember, what did I talk about all last week? And the offensive line was incredible. Incredible. And for those of you who are Mob Squad members, be on the lookout for studs and duds. That'll be coming your way either later on tonight or first thing in the AM. So be on the lookout for that. The spoiler alert, the offensive line, they were, for a second consecutive week, they were studs. Studs. Absolutely phenomenal in the game. Taylor Heineke wasn't sacked on his, on the offensive line. He was sacked on his own volition by running out of bounds at or behind the line of scrimmage. And so you credit the sack to the closest Bills player. But as far as him actually taking a physical sack, somebody got beat. No, it didn't happen. They were phenomenal. That said, there were opportunities for him to run or to extend with his legs, and he refused to do it for a while there. And he got himself into trouble. And I highlighted that on a number of plays on the film breakdown. Like, come on, dude. This is why we were excited to see you, because of that athleticism. That's your greatest strength. That's your biggest attribute. And it seemed like he only wanted to use it towards the end of the game when shit was out of hand. And now all of a sudden he wants to try to make all these plays by himself. And I'm like, dude, you should have been doing that earlier. And he did it early on the play to, I think it was Terry, where he extended and he found Terry out of bounds for a 12-yard gain. That was gorgeous. But it wasn't enough of it. Anytime you start to attack the line of scrimmage as a passer, you force the defense to have to respect your ability to run, or else you just tuck it and run. They come up, somebody's going to be open now. You just get it to them. He tried that one time and he was past the line of scrimmage. I actually thought that his whole body wasn't past the line of scrimmage, but at that point we were getting our asses handed to us. I don't think Ron was interested in challenging anything. He had already lost the challenge already anyway. But I'm with you, Red Wing 01. I haven't seen enough boots. I haven't seen enough moving of the pockets, sprint right, sprint left. I haven't seen enough plays or enough of Taylor Heineke himself improvising to take advantage of what his greatest strength is, which is his athleticism, and he can throw on the move. Watched him do it in this game with no problem. So that's not an excuse. He can do it. He should be moving a little bit more and really causing problems for opposing defenses, putting them in conflict. That's the new hot buzz word, in conflict. He didn't do it enough in this past game. I think he needs to do more of it. Alex Kurz, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Alex, stand up. Alex, you are officially a member of the MOBB and officially in the building. Everybody, mob Alex in the squad. Show him some love. Welcome aboard as a brand new gold member, Alex Kurz, to the squad. Welcome aboard. Look forward to chopping it up with you. Got another one here from King of the North. Double up. My guy, King of the North, thank you for doubling up. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB once again, who writes, this is a massive game for 4. He has an opportunity here to show he can bounce back from a bad game and learn from his mistakes. The team will feed off of his performance. Haters will be watching. TLH, the legend of Heineke. It grows. This is a massive game for him. This is him going back home. He's from the Atlanta, Georgia area. Okay, so this is his first time playing back home. Secondly, you're spot on, King of the North. Spot on. Everybody is expecting him to fail. He's not the quarterback of the future. I'm not sure that he is either. Okay, but I'm not ruling that out yet because of one bad performance. But the critics are going to say, oh, yeah, this is why he was undrafted. This is why he stinks. This is why he's this. This is why he's that. You've already got some people asking about Kyle Allen. And I'm like, for what? For what? It's not how you perform when things are going well, but how you are able to overcome when things are not. This was a rough week for him. Rough. Because he went from the mountaintop and that high of having that last-minute drive against the Giants lead to a victory and everyone wanting to know the story of Taylor Heineke and, him getting an endorsement deal from Bud Light. And his life changed last week. It changed for the first time in that Tampa Bay playoff game. That's when his life first changed, where he got the contract because of his play in that game that made him an NFL player officially. But this past week was another step in his life changing. That big win on a national stage in front of everybody, playing the way that he did, getting the endorsement deal the following week. It's a massive deal for Taylor Heineke. And then he hit the shits. All right. He got a little bit ahead of his skis and he did a full tumble and front flip. And now he's got to pick himself back up, dust himself off, and show that he can actually do this. And so this is a massive week for him. You couldn't be more spot on, King of the North. And you got a lot of people, and I'm seeing it, and we always see this within the fan base. There's dissension. Because the same people that claim they're rooting for this team to win are the same ones that want us to lose so we can get a high draft pick. And then you got another faction of the fan base that thinks Taylor Heineke sucks. And so they can be proven right. They need him to play well, play bad, and play poorly, which I'll never understand as a fan. Wanting to be right more than this team being right. You singly, individually, as a single entity, wanting to be right more so than the team actually winning. That's the stupidest thing. I'll never understand it as a fan. We saw it with Kirk. We saw it with Dwayne. We're seeing it again now with Taylor Heineke. At the end of the day, this is a big game for him because a lot of people want to count him out after that. A lot of people want to say he sucks. He did not play well. He's young. He made mistakes. People don't want to hear it. They just want results. This is a big game. Not just for him, but for the entire team. If he plays well, more likely than not, we win. If he doesn't, more likely than not, we lose. It's really simple. So I hope he's ready for the responsibility of leading this team, because we need it on Sunday. Got to have it in the worst way right after a long day. Thank you for the super chat, King of the North. Alex Kurz, thank you for the super chat and becoming a brand new and the newest member of the MOBB. Really appreciate you, Alex. And double up. Thank you for doubling up. Alex Kurz, who writes, hey, Lou, late to the party, but I'm happy to be a part of the MOBB. Better late than never. All right? Better late than never. Thank you for everything. I'm a package deal. You got me, my grandfather, up above in our lucky suspenders. That's right. That's right. Grandpops is definitely smiling down, man. Hopefully those lucky suspenders are going to give us some juice this week because we need it. Big time. Thank you, Alex. Really do appreciate you and Grandpops and the suspenders, the lucky suspenders. Chauncey Davis, my guy Chauncey, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, CD. As always, my guy Chauncey Davis writes, the excitement for me now is when they put this thing together. I think this is a double up for you too. Double up. Might be a triple up. But anyway, he says, the excitement for me now is when they put this thing together. I said when, not if, because it's going to happen. You sound like me. Sound like a wise man. Very wise. You're an OG, so I know you know what's good, but they're going to put this thing together. You know, I'm hoping that we see, signs of that this year, because the hope was, and I still feel confident in this. I'm not, I am not changing course off of 3 games, but the hope for me was, look, I want to make the postseason 2 years in a row. We haven't done that since 1991, 1992. So I'd love to break that streak right now. There hasn't been a back-to-back division winner since 03, 04. I'd love to do that and break that streak. Streaks are made to be broken. I'd love to break that streak as well. But the biggest thing that I wanted this year, more so than anything else, because we can break all those streaks down the road, is I wanted to see consistency. I wanted to see carryover from last year, and I wanted to see a team that was taking the next step. What is the next step? 9-8, 10-7. That's the next step from 7-9. That's what I wanted to see. And we still may get that. And I'm still confident that we have a chance to get that. My confidence is not as great as it was going into the season because I was banking on the defense being a lot better. Like light years better than what it's been to this point, as many of you were as well. But that doesn't change the fact that the defense hasn't played well hasn't changed the fact that I believe in the talent. I believe in the process. I believe in the coaching staff, and I believe we're heading in the right direction. So I'm with you. Not if, but when. Not if, but when. Yo, what up, T-Mail? Stevens, King of the North. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, King of the North. Thank you for tripling up. Writes, Ron needs to be realistic about his struggling defense and game planned around it. Go for on 4th down, eat clock on offense, short passing game, and run game, etc. So I agree with some of that statement, not all of it. So Ron needs to be realistic about his defense struggling and game plan around it. So let's take it in pieces and parts. So you say go for it on 4th downs. Stop right there. If you aren't confident in your defense, it could go one of 2 ways. You could look at it like you have and go for it on 4th down. What do you got to lose? You're going to give up a touchdown anyway. Okay, there is that point. Or you could say, if I don't trust my defense, I don't want to give the other team's offense a shorter field to have to, score on this defense. The defense needs all the help it can get. So if we pin that team at their own 3 and they got to go 97 for a touchdown, so be it. But we don't want to do is give them an opportunity starting from, their own 39 to possibly, have to only go 71 yards, because it's a lot easier for them to do that against this defense. You can look at it either way. You want to help out the defense by pinning the other team's offense in their own territory, where they may be a little bit more conservative with their play calling. You may be able to get off the field, or you say, what the hell do we have to lose? We're going to give the shit up anyway. Go for it. So I could see how you could view it from, both ends of the spectrum, opposite ends of the spectrum, rather. I don't believe just going for it on fourth down because you don't believe in the defense is the right way to go about it. You could end up getting your ass kicked even worse by going for it on fourth downs and not converting. It could get really ugly really quickly. He says, eat clock on offense. That would require us to not let the ball hit the ground in the passing game, and it would require us to run it as well and be somewhat balanced. And we have been anything but these last 2 weeks. Part of my film breakdown was the fact that Scott Turner just simply refuses to run the football on consecutive downs. He did not. And we were having success against the Bills early in the game. It just was ridiculous how early in the game he refused to run the football. And I stated this already. I think it was on Monday's show, 4.1, episode 4.1. I think I talked about we got a 7-yard run on first down. The very first play of the game offensively for us was a 7-yard J.D. McKissic run. We didn't run the football on another offensive snap. I believe this to be a fact until the second quarter. I think there were something like 8 or 9 straight passes after that. I could be wrong. I think the next run was an Antonio Gibson 4-yard run, which is a good hit on first down. And of course, we followed that up with 2 passes and turned it over. So, yeah. T. Mel Stevens, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. And I just said what up to you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, the next 2 games will definitely tell the story. Game planning and preparation got to be better. And these are 2 huge games. And I stated this already. And thank you for the comment, T-Mel. And I couldn't agree with you more. Or Tamel. I couldn't agree with you more. Like, these are 2 massive games. They're winnable games. Because after these 2 games, and again, I'm not looking at the Falcons or the Saints like they're beneath us. Like, we should win those games. They're winnable games is what I'm saying. Like, they're games on the schedule where I go into them and I don't think we got a chance in hell. The Bills were one of those games. I didn't think we were going to win that game. And as badly as I wanted it to be close, I could see in my mind a way that we got our asses kicked. I didn't envision it being in the manner that it happened, in which Josh Allen, with 5 minutes left in the game, has a ball cap on and is chilling on the sidelines because his day is done, because he's already kicked our ass to the point where they didn't need his services anymore. That shit's embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing to be down 43-14 in the fourth quarter, and the other team's quarterback's done for the day. Doesn't have a concussion, doesn't have an ankle injury. He's just done because he's kicked your ass, and they don't need him anymore. Like, that shit's not supposed to happen against us. Let that shit happen to the Jets and the Jaguars and some of the bottom feeding teams in the league. That shit's not supposed to happen to us, not with our defense. Well, it just did. So that's frustrating. But we got a chance. Even with that said, we got a chance in the next 2 weeks to not only get back to 500, but to eclipse 500 for the first time this season and go into that Kansas City game in week 6 with some confidence. Because trust me, when I tell you this, the Chiefs will be coming into that game with confidence, because they're 1-2 right now. And I bet you they're on a 2 or 3 game win streak when we get to them in week 6. They're going to turn that shit around. They're going to clean things up, and they're going to start winning some damn ball games. I'd love to join them in that fight. And so when we get there to them in week 6, I'd love to be 2, 3-2 teams riding 2 game win streaks playing one another. I'd love for that game to be a matchup of 2 teams playing some great football leading into that game. I'd love for that to be the case. Can I bank on that? Absolutely not. Not with the way this team right now is preparing, being coached, and playing and executing out on the field. Nope, can't do it. Wouldn't be prudent. But what I can do is remain optimistic that you take it one game at a time, and that the team in front of us and the Atlanta Falcons are having a lot of the same struggles that we are, and we may be able to take advantage of them because we're more talented than they are. And that's what I'm hanging my hat on right now, is that we're the more talented team, so we should find a way to get it done. They got a first-year head coach. They got a roster that's all over the place. They're still trying to figure shit out. Let's take advantage of that. Let's take advantage of that. Thank you for the super chat to Mel Stevens. JB Johnson, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy JP writes, in the player's defense on the zone, Ron did say before the season, be where you're at. JB. First of all, that's funny as hell. Be where the phrase was, be where your feet are at. All right. Be where your feet are at. He did say that, but he didn't mean it in this literal sense. Like, I mean, you can't be anywhere else but where your feet are, I guess. I mean, unless you're laying down, but you got to move your damn feet. That's the problem. We're not moving our feet. We're just staying in the same spot and expecting good results. While the offense is actually, the team that we're playing against on the offensive side, they're actually moving their feet and getting to open spots that are vacated by any defenders. So, yeah. Thank you for the super chat, JB Johnson. Redneck Rocker 01. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Redneck Rocker 01 writes, ever think of doing a halftime show? Would love to hear you break down the first half and tell us what the team needs to do in the next half to win. I did, and I actually have done it before, and they didn't really go all that well, and it was a lot of work. And I just said, nah, I just wait till after the show to talk about everything. But I've done it before, you know, and it didn't go as well as I thought. You know, I had these ideas of grandeur in my head about, oh, I do this and I'll do that, and then the people spoke and they were like, nah, don't really care too much for that. So yeah, I thought about it and I've done it before, and then I didn't continue doing it. So yeah, I've thought about it. Thank you for the super chat, Redneck Rocker 101. Joshua Farish, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Joshua Farish writes, Lou, I'd like the defense to get a 3-and-out on the first drive of the game, but I think I am asking too much. Bro, I mean, you can't get it set up for you on a damn platter any more so than the Bills game. That was the most frustrating opening drive that we've given up for a touchdown, because the first set of downs, normally we don't get one of these long third downs until like the third set of downs on that opening drive. Like the Chargers had one too, where I think they converted on like a 3rd and 11 or 3rd and 9. But that wasn't on the first set of downs. Like they got a first down on either first or second down, or they converted a 3rd and manageable, or, you know, on that opening drive. Same with the Giants. Like they opened up the game by moving it right down the field, and then they got into a 3rd and long, and then they were able to convert it. And then we had the roughing the passer on Chase Young that they would have been in like 2nd and 13, and instead it was 1st and goal because of the personal foul. And we had a personal foul, I think, on that first possession against the Chargers as well. But that said, we had them 3rd and 15. They were out of sync. They ran it on first down on the very first snap of the game. They run the ball. And it's a great job of the D-line, Chase, Montez Sweat, and Jonathan Allen, and the linebacker on that side, I want to say it was Bostic, all bottling up the running back for no gain. So it's 2nd and 10. Then, you know, the second play of the game, they try to throw it out in the flats. It skips off the running back's hands. Bostic was there anyway. It would have been a minimal gain at best. So now it's 3rd and 10. Then we get a false start on Emmanuel Sanders. It's 3rd and 15. What more do you want? What more do you want? This is the greatest opportunity you're going to get off the field, and you blow it. You blow it. And I broke that down on the film. It's just, It's just maddening watching it. It's tough. I want one too. I want one in the worst way. You know what was crazy? I was watching the Seattle Minnesota Vikings game. Yeah. And, I watch all the games every week, and you hear different tidbits and stats and things that are crazy. That's how I knew the Russell Wilson was 7-0 versus the Minnesota Vikings until they lost this past weekend. And so I'm watching that game, and Seattle hadn't given up an opening. Was it Seattle or was it the Dolphins? I think it was Seattle. Hadn't given up an opening drive touchdown in like 16 straight games or something like that. And I said, man, must be nice. Must be nice. We'd love to just be able to do it once. They got one that spans almost a full season. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat, Gregory Marston. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Greatly appreciate you, Gregory, who writes, don't know if you've covered this before, but why does Chase seem to overuse the speed rush versus varying his technique, bull rush, swim move, etc.? Again, a great question. I don't have the answers to. I would love to have a concrete, solid answer, but you'd have to actually talk to Chase Young to know why he does what he does. I just know we all see it. It's the same rush. I pointed this out in my film breakdown that when he decided to actually put the brakes on and come back up and retrace his steps, he actually got to Josh Allen and forced an errant throw. Like, dude, just switch it up. And I think I said this on Overtime after the game. If a major league hitter knows a fastball is coming, they're going to hit it. If it's straight and they know it's coming, they're going to hit it because they're professional players. They can hit a straight ball no matter how fast you throw it. Now, the problem is if it's coming at 99 and they don't know if it's going to be off speed, if they're looking for a curve or they're looking for a split or a change, and then they get something coming at them at a rate of speed of 99 miles per hour, oops, you got me. But guess what? If they're sitting dead red, 99 mile an hour fastball, they can turn it around in a hurry. Same thing with professional offensive tackles in the National Football League. I already said, you're not playing against Purdue or Rutgers anymore. No more Michigan State tackles for you to devour. Minnesota isn't on the schedule. Not Vikings. Golden Gophers aren't on the schedule next week for you to eat up their third string tackle. These are professionals. If they know a speed rush is coming, they'll get out of their stance and they'll push you around the pocket. It's not hard when you're doing the same shit, unless that thing is elite, and obviously it's not for Chase Young. He is not Von Miller. He does not have that elite first step. He's got quickness. He's got explosion, but it's not Von Miller-esque. It doesn't take your breath away. He doesn't bend the corner like DeMarcus Ware or Von Miller. He doesn't have elite quickness like cat-like quickness like Myles Garrett. He's not those guys. He's got to put other moves in his repertoire, and he's not doing it for whatever reason. Don't ask me. I don't know. I'd love to know. That's why I said, what are these guys being coached to do? I don't know. Thank you, Gregory. Appreciate the super chat. Red Wings 01. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Red Wings 01. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, did you see the play where Flowers was ready to set up a block and give Taylor a huge run only for him to bail? Got to take those opportunities. Excuse me. Yes. I don't know if we're talking about the same play because there were multiple opportunities in the game where Taylor could have run. And there was one in particular where because Eric Flowers didn't have anybody to block, he was available. He was ready to rock and roll. And Taylor just failed to take advantage of, opportunities. Another play, and I broke this down on the film, was the interception that he threw, throwing it to Terry. And Terry screaming, got his hand up, I'm open. And that doesn't help. Terry doesn't know there's a defender behind him. You can't listen to Terry. He's got his arm up and he's standing there. You can't just say, oh, Terry's open. He's got his arm up. I'm going to throw it to him. You got to see the whole field, buddy. So he's got to take advantage of these opportunities to run, to extend plays with his legs, to force the defense to have something else to think about, to force guys to come up and react to his ability to run, and then just get it to somebody and let them do the rest of the work. He's got to understand that that's a part of his game that separates him from every other quarterback on our roster. The only reason that we get excited about Taylor Heineke is that ability to extend plays. And if he's not going to do that, then you're just a 6-foot quarterback trying to be something that you're really not. Thank you for the super chat, Red Wings 01. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Greatly appreciate you. Right. Yo, Lou, I'm late today. What's 10's deal? Welcome. Good to have you, Metaphor. Not the same show without you. He is looking good. Practiced well. Went off without a hitch. Now we play the waiting game. How does he feel tomorrow after this day of work? And how does his body respond? And can he have the same response to an increased workload? These are all things that stay tuned tomorrow to find out, because we don't know yet. All we know is that there was no setback today, but we said that last time. As I mentioned earlier on the show, the first episode, he practiced that Tuesday. I came on and said, Curtis Samuel is back. All right. Told you guys it wasn't the groin. It was just conditioning. And then he got injured. The next day, retweaked it, or it just felt tight. And I remember this like it was yesterday. Brandon Brantley put a message in the comment section of that video that said, pretty much calling me out, which he was, and had every right to do, because I was adamant that I'd gotten intel from somebody in the know that it wasn't his groin anymore. It was just a conditioning thing, because he had COVID and all of that stuff, if you recall. And Brandon Brantley was like, hey, so much for that comment about not being his groin. That didn't age well, did it? No, it didn't age well. And all I could do was laugh, because he was right. It's flat out wrong about that. So I'm just going to take a wait and see approach, man. I'm excited, but it's cautious optimism. Cautious optimism. But he looked good today by all reports, by everyone that was out there, and no setback. So now we just play the waiting game. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. 99 problems, Chase ain't one. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I hope we see that D Payne the rest of the season. Yeah, he was getting after it in the past game. And you know what was so frustrating is that the man got hog-tied on that first third down where he got pressure on that 3rd and 15. How you don't call that, yet we get a flag when Stephon Diggs takes William Jackson III, palms his back, and literally thrust him 4 yards up the field, and we get flagged for that. J.D. McKissick gets flagged for setting a pick on a OPI, which, again, I'm not absolving J.D. of any wrongdoing. He didn't have to do it. But I've seen much worse be called. I didn't have a problem with them calling it. JD can't put the officials in that position to make that call. But my point is, we getting called for all this ticky-tack shit. There's an obvious penalty right in front of the official's face. This Cody Ford is getting his ass whooped on this rep. He's got Daron Payne in a chokehold, in a sleeper, for 3 seconds. And he pushes him at the end, and the official says, oh, we're all good here. Seriously? I kept waiting, watching it live. I kept waiting for one of the commentators, Chris Myers, to say, but there's a flag on the play. There's a flag. Hold the horses. There's a flag. Or I kept looking at the bottom of the screen, waiting for that yellow icon to show up. All I heard was the Bills fans cheering for a 20-yard gain on 3rd and 15. And I saw everybody moving up the field, and I said, they're not going to throw the flag, huh? Yikes. Okay. That lets me know what kind of day it's going to be right there. That's not good. Not good at all. I hope we see that same Daron Payne as well. From a pass rush standpoint, it was his best game of the season. I mean, he really was, despite not getting a sack, he really was creating havoc in there. He just didn't have a lot of supporting cast members join him in that fight. So I would like to think that that's a sign of things to come for him, but we'll see. We'll see. Alex Kurz, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Alex writes, I'd like to see more Greg Williams-esque gutsy blitz packages in general. Can't remember many. Want to see more free blitzers. What do you think, Lou? You have to be selective and pick your spots as to when you decide to bring it. That's not Jack Del Rio's, MO. We can already see that from just a year and some change of him being here. It's almost like pulling teeth to get him to bring pressure. We've seen that already. So I don't hold my breath with that. That said, when you do bring pressure, you have to be confident that on the other end of that pressure are guys that can hold up so that you don't give up a 55-yard touchdown. If you don't have that, then you find yourself being in positions where all of that stuff is a moot point and you're giving up big plays anyway. Jack's mindset has been since he's gotten here, and this may be his philosophy going all the way back to when he was the D coordinator with the Broncos and the Panthers and all of that stuff. It may be bend but don't break. Keep everything in front of you. Force the offense to make a mistake by going on long drives. Something bad's going to happen, a penalty, a batted ball. Something's going to happen that's going to turn the drive in the favor of the defense, and you'll get off the field on 3rd downs. I think that's more of his philosophy than to just rush a bunch of guys, right? So I don't know. My biggest issue is you want to blitz, but you got to pick the right spots. Don't just blitz for the sake of blitzing, because you can get beat that way. So anyway, that's how I feel. But I would like to see them incorporate more blitzes, or at least look like you're blitzing. Like on that 3rd down that I referenced in the game, where we were playing man across the board, we looked like we were coming. And we didn't. We only brought one extra rusher. We dropped out of there, but it confuses the offensive line. It makes them have to communicate. Maybe somebody comes free, and it's a different look. Something different. I'd like to see that more. Thank you for the super chat, Alex Kurz. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for doubling up. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Metaphor. Who writes, a wise man once told me the definition of crazy is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. D-line needs to modify the scheme. My point exactly. So I don't know. At the end of the day, we got to be better. And maybe it's a tweak here, a tweak there, but they got to figure out a way to be more productive. And maybe they need to start doing some different things. That is for sure. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. Eric DeBose, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Eric DeBose, writes, what up, Lou? Every year, a defense starts off slow, or defenses start off slow, but gathers momentum as the season goes on. I'm confident that that's us this year. We're too talented. That's kind of how I feel. Off to a slow start, big expectations. Guys started, having that go to their head. They're doing too much. They're not playing within the scheme. And you get guys struggling. I do believe that to be the case. I think we start to ratchet it up as guys get settled into roles, start to realize that, the team is bigger than themselves, and everybody start doing their job. I don't think enough guys are doing their job individually. I think everybody wants to play hero ball. Just do your job. And it's not just the D-line either that we're seeing that with. So we'll see what happens. We're definitely too talented. And that's what I continue to hang my hat on. So anyway, thank you for the super chat, Eric DeBose. John Livingston, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, JL Smooth, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, what up, Lou? Heard from some former O-line, and they were talking about Washington football team versus Buff. And he said they were yelling at JDR saying, if you just plan on getting pressure with your front four, it makes it way too easy for the O-line. Yeah. The frustrating part about what Del Rio has done is he's being stubborn right now. He's refusing to bring pressure. It's funny because a lot of times when we do bring it, we get there. But when he does bring pressure, it's a reluctant pressure with like five guys, right? So it's not, 6 and it's an overload and the quarterback has to get it out hot because they're coming. It's 5. Like, it's almost like, you twisted my arm. I really don't want to do this. All right, I'll bring an extra defender. 5. Well, they still got 5 offensive linemen, and if they want to keep a running back in or a tight end in, they got enough to pick up 5. So not really doing all that much by bringing an extra guy, unless somebody's going to win a one-on-one matchup, which we haven't been doing successfully all that much. So you got to, and if you're going to bring 5, you got to get more creative with the 5 you're bringing. You can't just say, all right, we're just going to all rush in our lanes. Let's make sure we keep lane integrity. No, you got to create some kind of mischief. You got to create some kind of advantage for your defense. I'm going to remain a supporter of Jack Del Rio for now. But if Jack can't find a way to get to the quarterback and clean up some of the deficiencies with this defense, with this talent, I'm going to have a big, big problem with that. And there does come a point where defensive coordinators, the league passes them by. You got these old school guys with this old mentality of how things should be done. And the league continues to evolve. It's a continuous evolution in the NFL, especially with these offenses, man, as they continue to incorporate more and more college and high school, schemes and ways to, trick defenses. You got to evolve and you got to adapt and you got to adjust. And, playing that same old shit that was working in the 1990s and early 2000s, it's a different game now. And if you can't adjust and adapt to what teams are doing, then we're going to have to find somebody else that can. I'm not at that point with Jack, though. I refuse to believe that Jack can't figure it out. But at some point, that's what you're going to have to do. Figure it out, or we're going to have to find somebody else that can. You don't do that in season, though, obviously. But we'll see. It's just too much talent for me to believe that they can't get more out of this defense. I just refuse to believe that. Period. End of discussion. Thank you for the super chat, John Livingston. That's one of the biggest discussions among Washington fans right now is, can we blitz more? Can we bring more than 4? Sometimes more than 5. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Metaphor writes, Chase speed rush so his hair looks good in the wind. It does fly up in the air. Those dreads do get to flying. But that's the least of our worries, looking good on the football field. Got to play better. Chauncey Davis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. As always, my guy Chauncey Davis writes, Lou, Chauncey, everything is in place for a turnaround. Don't underestimate humility. Chase and Sweat know they stink right now. Relax. I agree. Sometimes you have to be humbled. I was having a conversation with one of my best friends the other day, and I told him, we were talking about something in particular, and I said, man, I got my ass humbled last month. We were talking about something, and he laughed, and then I explained to him, and, being humbled takes a lot, because the first thing that being humbled takes is the ability to be self-aware. Because if you don't think you've done anything wrong, or you don't see where you went wrong, or you don't see how what you did affected this or that, then you can't be in a position to be humbled. You have to first be able to say to yourself, this is what I did. This is how I contributed to this not going the way that I thought it was going to go. And you have to be able to take a step back and reflect in order to humble yourself. And they know they're not playing well, but do they know why, how bad they're not, how bad they're playing, or how well they're not playing? Do they know why they're not playing at the level that they should be? And what standards are they holding themselves to get better? And what can they do to improve? How do I fix the problem that we have right now? Those are questions that need to be asked. We don't know the answers to any of them. We don't even know if they're humble right now. They could be thinking, hey, we doing our thing. I don't think they feel that way, though. They know. Chase, I've heard Chase speak. He knows he's not killing shit. He doesn't even have a sack. So he knows he's not killing shit. And he's not impacting. And I said this in the film. It's not always about sacks. It's about impacting the quarterback, impacting the game. One of the things I loved about Montez Sweat last year wasn't just the fact that he upped his sack total and he was a dominant force getting to the quarterback at times. It was that he morphed into this all-around beast of a football player. You couldn't run to his side. You tried a quick screen, he was batting the shit in the air. Anything quick, Tez wasn't having it. He was an animal, and he impacted the game on so many levels. That was Chase Young as well last year. I'm not seeing that from those guys right now. They have to get back to impacting the game in a myriad of ways. They're not there right now. That's the part that's really hurting us, is that we need those guys to be impact players so that everybody else feeds off of that energy. And we're not getting that from them right now. But hopefully humility is setting in. And we've had this massive setback for the ultimate comeback defensively. That's what I'm hoping. Thank you for the super chat, Chauncey Davis. Got another one here from John Perez, my guy, JP. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, does Ron get a QB via the draft this offseason? Malik Willis, Corral from Ole Miss, Howell, or Rattler, doesn't matter. Need to get one of those kids. Well, I can tell you right now, I'm not a Rattler, Howell, or the guy from Cincinnati. I have to watch more of him, though. I will admit I need to watch more of the Cincinnati quarterback. But Rattler stinks. Howell, I'm not the biggest fan of Sam Howell. I love Matt Corral from Ole Miss, but I think a lot of people are ultimately – he's got a big game this week. We'll talk more about that on the podcast against Alabama this week. He's got a chance to really stake his claim as a Heisman front runner. He's playing phenomenal football this year, 9 touchdown tosses, no interceptions. He's got legs and athleticism. I've been in love with him for a while. I just didn't know if he would ever put it all together. It seems like he finally has with Lane Kiffin as his coach. This is a big game for him, but I love Matt Corral. But we'll see. I think what's ultimately going to happen is he's going to have one of those Joe Burrow, Zach Wilson type ascensions to the top of the draft, and you won't be able to get your hands on him. Some quarterback needy team will be at number 1, and they'll get their hands on him. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, I digress. Right now, the move for the offseason is to get a quarterback. That hasn't changed yet. Gregory Marston, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Gregory. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, does Del Rio have the juice to bench Collins or move him to linebacker? Would that send the right message to the others on the defense? What about Reeves? I don't think Landon Collins is playing bad enough to be benched. And remember, I thought this was his best game of the season against the Bills in week 3. So I don't think he's trending towards getting benched, but I'll take it a step further. Landon Collins was playing way worse back in 2019, or 2020, excuse me, last year, right prior to the injury. He's playing worse than he is now. Way worse. Not even close. He's terrible early in 2020. Missing tackles, taking poor angles, penalties left and right. He's playing better. So they're not moving him to linebacker. That's an off-season thing. You don't do that in season. So that's not happening. And Jeremy Reeves didn't even make the team. He's currently on the practice squad. So that's not, they don't, like, Jeremy Reeves isn't even in the equation. They have more, confidence in DeShazer Everett and even the rookie who could potentially come off of IR this week as well, Derek Forrest, than they do Jeremy Reeves. So don't look for Landon Collins to get benched or to be moved to linebacker. Neither of those two things are going to happen. Thank you for the super chat, Gregory Marston. 99 problems, Chase ain't one. Double up. Greatly appreciate you. 99 problems, Chase ain't one, who writes, by the way, my name is a problem for us right now. Damn, LOL. I was going to say that the last time you super chatted, but I said, that's corny. I'm just going to keep it to myself. Okay. I'll let somebody else say it. I won't say it. I'm glad you brought it up yourself. So I didn't have to say it. So, but yes, when you made that name up last year, he wasn't the problem. He was the least of our problems. Right now, he's not a massive problem because he's still a talented football player that gives us something. But he's one of the problems that we have. We got 99 problems, and Chase is definitely one of them right now. I don't know for how much longer, though. He's got to snap out of this thing eventually, I feel like. So we'll see. Anyway, thank you for the super chat. 99 problems. Chase ain't one. Looks like we got a troll in here. What is going on? Did we get rid of this guy or what? Where are the damn mods? I probably need to make some more mods. Normally, the people that are mods are in every comment section, so they take care of business. But see, we got some. Let me look and see if we got rid of this. Yeah, okay. Kevin the PRF, thank you for policing the comment section. If any of you are interested in being mods and you're constantly on these streams, let me know. The more the merrier, so we can block out some of these clowns that come in here trying to infiltrate the stream. Brandon Hayes, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Brandon writes, pressure is bringing more blockers, more than blockers. Jack doesn't do that. He depends on the front four. So I said this to someone because they sent me a, some stats. People randomly send me stats and stuff. And, I think one of the stats was like a pressure rate. And that's when you bring a blitz. So just so you know, a blitz is defined as a rush that contains 5 or more guys. So bringing one more than the standard amount, which is 4, is considered a blitz. And I told this person that sent me the message on socials, because he sent me this number and we were, one of the higher pressure teams in the league. And I'm saying, come on now, you watch the games like I have, that's a misleading stat. Okay. I said in that Chargers game, there was a point in the game where we strictly went to 5-2, meaning 5 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and 4 defensive backs. There was a point in the game where we strictly were playing 5-2, rushing 5. That's considered a blitz every time you do that. It's not, oh my God, they're coming out. It's just 5 guys. And someone asked about Matt Ioannidis being on the field with the starting front 4. That's what they were doing. 3 defensive tackles, 2 defensive ends, and you just rush. We did it last year too. This isn't brand new. Last year was more because we couldn't stop the run, but did the same thing last year. That's considered a blitz. So if you're adding that into the equation, it's almost like looking at a stat like points per game given up. And you're leading the league in points per game given up. Your defense is giving up, 29.9, so 30 points per game. But you've been watching all the games. In the first 3 weeks, your quarterback has, 2 pick sixes, and you also have a fumble that went to the crib, and you're like, that's a misleading stat because the offense has directly accounted for 3 touchdowns, and we gave up a punt block that went for a touchdown. Like, that's 4 touchdowns that the defense had nothing to do with, but they're getting charged with that to their account. Same thing with those blitzes. You're like, come on, bro. Like, seriously. That's being added to the blitz account, but we all know that those weren't legitimate, let's get after the quarterback blitzes. So pressure is defined as bringing more blitz. A blitz is considered bringing 5 or more rushers. Pressure, as to Brandon's credit here, is to bring more than the blockers. That isn't even necessarily a good description of pressure because you can have pressure with 4. You can have pressure with 3. And they can have 5 or 6 blockers, and you can still get to the quarterback or have pressure to where he has to throw it away. Jack just needs to do a better job, and Ron has already said this, of putting the players in better positions to succeed. And whether that's blitzing or playing man or playing zone and blitzing behind it or whatever the case may be. Overloading a side, moving Chase and Montez to the same side, whatever the case may be, they have to find a way to be more efficient with their play calls, to put players in positions to be aggressive and play the brand of football that they best know how. Thank you for the super chat, Brandon Hayes. Eric DeBose, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Eric DeBose. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. ED, who writes, I think the NFL has it out for Snyder, in my opinion. They don't want us to be successful because of the black eye Snyder has put on this franchise. Some of the trash officiating against us is so blatant. I don't think that's the case, Eric. If they really, really despised Snyder so much, they would have kicked his ass out of the league. They had a chance. They wouldn't have given him essentially the loan to buy the rest of the shares from the minority shareholders to then have full ownership of the team if they really hated him so much. This isn't punishment for Snyder. We've just been on the wrong side of some calls. We've been on the right side of some bad calls. I told you, I thought in that Chargers game, Joey Bosa was flagged for roughing the passer twice, and I thought they were 2 egregious calls. They benefited us. We're not giving those calls back. The Giants were called for a holding penalty on a Daniel Jones run. Come on, man. Seriously? It was a hold, but whoever calls that? We've benefited from our fair share of bad calls. That Justin Herbert, touchback, that wasn't a fumble. Give me a break. We've benefited from some bad calls too. It goes both ways. That's why I don't cry over spilt milk, because usually it all balances itself out over a 16, now 17 game schedule. It's going to all even itself out. We've gotten our fair share of breaks due to the officials, and you never give those back, do you? You don't come back and say, hey, we shouldn't have won the game. The officials were really slanted towards us. You're like, damn right. They called it. I can't control that. If they're giving out gifts, I'm taking them. They weren't handing out gifts on Sunday. As a matter of fact, they were taken from us. That's fine. Like I said, it all balances itself out. Let's see. Chauncey Davis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Chauncey Davis writes, Lou, Chauncey, could you explain a zone package and why it's not working for us? Is it more mental than physical? Where are our problems? Keep Heineke clean. So I explained that on the film. I really do explain, and I've done that on film breakdowns before. So it's not hard. The biggest problem we have, not to get into too many details, because again, that's why the film is there. But the biggest problem that we have with our zone coverage is that guys are too loose in their coverage. Meaning, excuse me, and I showed a great example of what zone coverage should look like. Buffalo played it perfectly. The same exact coverage we played earlier in the game and give up a 3rd and 3 for a first down. The Bills play that exact same coverage and take away all options, and Taylor Heineke throws an interception. And it's night and day between what the Bills do and look on defense and what we do and how we look on defense. Their guys get it. Our guys don't. And that's the frustrating part. But everybody's got a responsibility in zone coverage. So I can explain cover 3 to you really quickly. So cover 3 is a simple, basic concept that most teams play in the league quite a bit on a week-to-week basis. If you get into a situation where a team goes, hurry up, cover 3, cover 2, these are coverages that are basic calls that you have baked in so that if you get into a situation where you can't substitute and the offense is going up tempo, you got a sign. You might go like this, and everybody on the defense knows that's cover 3 because everybody knows how to play cover 3. You don't have to think about that. So cover 3, it's called cover 3 because you've got 3 deep defenders that are supposed to be deeper than the deepest, meaning nobody gets behind them on the play in their zone. So your corner on the outsides, both outsides, have a third of the field. So just think about the field being broke down into 3 parts, 3 even thirds, okay? You got an outside third. So the cornerback, let's say it's William Jackson the third, has the deepest third. So nobody's deeper than him, nobody's wider than him in his third, right? So everything needs to be in front of him. On the opposite side, Juice has the same thing. Nobody deeper than him, nobody wider than him in his third. Middle of the football field, you got a single high safety that's playing the same coverage. Nobody deeper than him, nobody wider than him in his third of the field, okay? So they're all back. You got 4. So a lot of times you'll hear 3 deep, 4 underneath. That's what they call that coverage. Cover 3 is 3 deep, 4 underneath because you got 3 deep defenders and you got 4 underneath defenders. Usually it's 3 linebackers and that second safety comes down, right? So that safety comes down and he's like sort of a spy defender, if you will. He's like a robber. He comes down and he's kind of down into the flats, but he's eyeballing the quarterback. And if quarterback doesn't see him, he can maybe slip under something, pick it off. You got your outside linebacker into the flats on one side. The other outside linebacker is into the flats. He's got the hook zone and into the flats on the other side. And then the middle linebacker has the middle of the football field. That's cover 3. 3 deep, 4 underneath. And then you're rushing 4 after the quarterback. So our problem is it's too loose. Guys' eyes are in the wrong places. And I break all of that down on film. But long story short, we need to be more disciplined and we need to be football players, smarter about what we're doing on the field. Tighten up our zones. That's the problem right now. And I show that on the film. Bigger TV. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. And big ups to Bigger TV for your win on the weekly pick'em pool. I got to give you credit where credit is due. That was a hell of a week, bro. Hell of a week to go 13-3 with some of the nonsense that went on. to navigate your way through that, and then hit essentially Monday night damn near on the head with 60 points, and it turned out to be 62, and that's what ultimately won you the pool. Respect, bro. Respect. Bigger TV writes, Dan Quinn is out coaching Jack Del Rio. Shaking my head. So I'll say this. What Dan Quinn effectively did going to Dallas. I told people this all season. I said Dan Quinn is the biggest acquisition, arguably in the entire NFC East, but definitely for the Dallas Cowboys. That's not debatable. What is he a bigger acquisition than what some of the acquisitions for the Giants or Washington were? But Dan Quinn could single-handedly, one player can't do, unless it's a quarterback, one player can't do what Dan Quinn is effectively doing right now, which is change the whole tenor of a side of the football. You can't do that with one player, but you can do that with one man, a coach. They were so poorly coached last year with Mike Nolan. Mike Nolan's a clown. Just like Greg Minuski, I don't understand how he continues to be employed as a defensive coordinator. Why do people continue to go down that road? That doesn't make any sense. He's not a good defensive coordinator. There's a track record that shows he's not a good defensive coordinator. So why do people keep giving him jobs? Anyway, I digressed. One thing I can give the Cowboys credit on is that they admitted they made a mistake. And they moved on from him, and they brought in Dan Quinn. And the one thing Dan Quinn does is he simplifies defense. They're gonna play cover 3. They're gonna keep shit in front of them. They're gonna be aggressive. They're gonna be fast, and they're gonna be physical. That's what and people always say the Falcons were garbage on defense. They were towards the end of his tenure. But if you look at what Dan Quinn did with them when he first got there, he brought that Seattle Seahawks mentality. Remember, that's where he came from. He brought that Seattle Seahawks cover 3 mentality to Atlanta, and he had Deion Jones, and he had Keanu Neal, and guys flying all around the football field, hitting anything that moved, and those guys were physical, they were fast, they were undersized, but they were physical, and they were fast, and they were making noise. And I said, he's going to do that for Dallas, and he has. So, what Jack hasn't been able to do is to get everybody playing like their hair's on fire this season. Last year, that was one of the things I was most impressed with, is that everybody it was 11 hats to the ball. You hear that, it's cliche. It's 11 hats to the football. Literally, it was 11 hats to the football. They run a wide receiver screen, and you got 11 burgundy lids going in one direction. This year, it might be 4 or 5. It's not the same vigor. It's not the same intensity. It doesn't seem like it's being coached up the same way. But we didn't really blitz last year either. So it's not like Jack has flipped the script on us. We really didn't blitz a lot last year either. And when we did blitz, there were some of the stupidest, most idiotic blitzes. Remember the moon blitz against the damn Browns? We had a safety coming from like 25 yards at the snap of the ball. I'm like, there's no way that guy's going to get there. And then Odell Beckham Jr. is open because of it over the middle of the field on the 3rd and like 14 for a first down. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I'm like, dude, you don't ever blitz. You finally do. And that's the shit you draw up? Seriously, that's what we're doing? That hasn't been the case this year, though. When we've blitzed, it actually hasn't been all bad. I remember the blitz, and again, we were crying for a blitz all game, and we finally blitzed first play of the 4th quarter versus the Giants. And Kendall Fuller comes off the edge scot-free and gets to Daniel Jones for one of our 4 sacks. And I'm like, bro, why does it take you this long to do that? I don't know. Stop asking. Thank you for the super chat, Bigger TV. King of the North, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, King of the North, writes, Logan Paulson was on a podcast saying, problem with the D is that we are predictable. No disguising, no breaking tendencies. He also said players are playing outside the scheme. Makes sense to me. That's exactly what we're doing to a T. It's not rocket science. Everybody's saying the same thing. Marcus Spears he had a video I saw where he's essentially talking about Chase and Montez being selfish and playing outside of the scheme, essentially. I watched Baldinger, Brian Baldinger, Baldy. You know, he does his Baldy breakdowns on socials and puts up clips and things of that nature. He showed it. He said, look, this is unacceptable. You know, we're not hustling to the football. And he's showing plays where guys, like last year, guys were hauling ass to the ball. That must have been an emphasis because it was year one in Jack, and he wanted to come in and really put his foot down like, hey, this is what I stand for. Now it's year two. You know what I'm about. I don't have to go as hard. Maybe it's the case. I don't know. But guys aren't hustling as much as they were last year. And you can see that we're playing the same shit over and over again. Like there is no nuance to what it is we're doing. It's the same basic coverages. We're dropping in zone because I feel like, and I don't know this for a fact, I feel like Jack is being lazy because last year he was allowed to be lazy because the front four was so ferocious. He was allowed to be lazy. He didn't have to bring a ton of pressure. Most games, not all games, most games. He didn't have to bring a ton of pressure. Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Deron Payne, and Jonathan Allen were enough. And now you're adding Matt Ioannidis back in. Remember how excited we were? Oh my God, we're getting Matt Ioannidis back. He's such a beast of a pass rusher. Imagine what that's going to do for Chase and Montez on the outside when you got one of the best interior pass rushers on the team back. Hasn't made a bit of difference. As a matter of fact, we're worse right now. So, and to Matt's, in Matt's defense, he's only been healthy for one game this season. So, anyway, at the end of the day, we've been predictable. There is no nuance to what we're doing. We're not blitzing. You know how excited I was on that 3rd and 8? You know how excited I was to see us mug the line of scrimmage with 10 defenders all at the line of scrimmage? Because we don't ever do that. We're always in zone. We got guys in leveling concepts. We never just come up and say, all right, beat us. We're blitzing. We coming up, pressing, beat us. We don't do it. And Josh Allen wasn't able to beat us on that play. He threw the shit 10 yards over everybody's head out of bounds, and he got bailed out by a bogus pass interference penalty. And I'm like, Jack, bro, where the hell has that been the first 3 weeks? He's like, I got more of that for you. I'm like, okay, I'm dying to see it. Haven't seen it since. So, yeah, there's a lot of things. As coaches in the NFL, this is what you get paid for. To have tendency breaks. To make teams think, okay, when you get into these situations, this is what they like to do. Oh, yeah, that's what you think I want to do. I'm going to show you that, and then I'm going to switch to something else. I'm going to make it look like that, and then I'm bringing a blitz. Oh, well, that wasn't on film. You're damn right it wasn't on film. That's the point. We're not doing that. What you see is what you get. And what you've seen is a bunch of lousy-ass zone coverage that doesn't work, where guys aren't sticking to the principles. And as you just said, that Logan Paulson said, which is a true fact, guys are playing outside of the scheme. And I point that out on the film breakdown. Guys are playing outside of the damn scheme. And that shit is hard to watch. It really is. It's like Medusa, hard to watch. Because you see the problems. You see them. You see where it's coming from. Got another super chat here from Chauncey Davis. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Chauncey Davis, who writes, Lou, Chauncey, looking forward to chopping it up with the mob in December about our troubles in September. The turnaround is inevitable. It's going to happen. I hope that you're some kind of soothsayer, that you have a premonition, that you can see into the future and you know what's going to happen. I hope you're right. I'm confident that we're going to turn this around and be better. I don't know if it results in us playing true meaningful football in December when all those division games are lined up for us. But I just know we're not going to be dead in the water in September, like a lot of people think, or I shouldn't say that a lot of people, like some fans out there think. I think we'll at least get to the end of October and still have a semblance of hope, even if it's fleeting. But the schedule isn't going to wait for us to get our act together. That's why we have to figure it out now while we still have games that look semi-winnable, because once you start playing, Kansas City and Green Bay and Denver and all of those teams that right now are undefeated or damn good, and we expect them to be really good, it gets tougher and tougher. Doesn't get any easier. So we got to find a way to figure it out now, while there are still some games that you feel like there are only a handful of games every year that I go into saying, hey, we should win this game. I might be wrong about that. I might be overrating how good I think we are, how bad I think the other team is. But you feel like, no, we should win this game. And then the rest of them, I'm either being optimistic and I convince myself that we can find a way to win, or I'm like, nah, this ain't it. We ain't winning this game. This is one of those games where I'm like, hey, we should win this game. And if we don't, it's going to be a long, long season. A long, long season. Long. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Metaphor, writes, Wise man once said, no pressure, no diamonds. #RG. That's right. No pressure, no diamonds. We'll see if these dudes trying to shine like white diamonds, or if they're going to crumble under this pressure that's being applied to them from the media, the fans, and probably themselves. They're probably putting some pressure on themselves to perform at a high level because they know what that means. You want more commercials? You want more Under Armour commercials? You want more Chipotle commercials if you're Chase Young? You want to be this global icon or one of the guys that, like Patrick Mahomes, has turned into one of these guys that transcends the sport, Aaron Rodgers, double discount, discount double check and all that shit. You want to be one of those guys? Those are quarterbacks, by the way. Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. Those guys are quarterbacks. But you know who's second in line to be one of those guys that can transcend the sport and be outside of the sport, be very visual? Guys that bag quarterbacks. You want that opportunity? You got to go out and you got to play and earn that opportunity. So we'll see what he does. Red Wings 01, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Red Wings 01 writes, gotta say we knocked it out of the park with Cosme. I wasn't all that sure, but one thing that I knew is that we got ourselves an athlete. And if our offensive line coach was as good as I felt he was last year, doing what he did with what we gave him last year, I said that he's got enough workable traits for them to take Cosme and mold him into a good football player. And so far, so good. Really, if you want to be honest, all of our draft picks in the first 2 days of the draft, Jamin Davis, Sam Cosme, De'Ami Brown, and Benjamin St. Juste all look like slam dunks. All of them. Got confidence that every single one of them are going to be good football players and contributors for us. Some are contributing a little bit more than others right now, like St. Juste and Cosme. But I think all of those guys have shown me what I needed to see to feel confident that we didn't make a mistake. Now, as for any of those other guys, we have really not seen any of the backup tight end, John Bates. Ricky Seals-Jones is getting all the second tight end reps. I don't know if that's something that might have been me tripping. Ricky Seals-Jones is getting all of the tight end reps, second team tight end reps. So you haven't seen a lot of Bates. Derek Forrest hasn't even been healthy yet. He's still on IR. And then obviously the two defensive ends in the 7th round, one didn't make the team, and William Bradley King, he's on the practice squad, and the other, I don't think we've seen Shaka Toney on the field once. I could be wrong. I don't recall seeing Shaka Toney on the field yet. So, other than special teams. So, Cheeseman is the only other guy that's really contributing right now at a high level. So, and he's a long snapper. So. The ones that really count are the guys in the first 2 days, and it seems like of the 4 picks, all of them seem to be really good. So I'm excited about that. Brandon Hayes, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Brandon Hayes, who writes, I don't think the back end is competent enough to withstand a blitz. We have no evidence that the front will come around. And that could be the reason why Jack is hesitant to blitz. Simple case in point. They brought pressure against the Giants, and they singled up William Jackson III on the outside, and Darius Slayton beat him for a touchdown. That's the fear, is that you get aggressive, you single up, and a guy gets smoked. And just like that, the possession's over, and the other team has a touchdown. Instead of making them earn it all the way down the field, it may be like torture, essentially, like having somebody scrape their fingernails across a chalkboard. Or I can't stand when somebody takes a metal spoon and hits it in a glass bowl or a glass plate with a metal fork on a plate. But I need to get the rest of this food off this plate. So it's a necessary evil. And in order to force teams to earn it on 12 and 13 play drives that you hope something goes wrong on, you just keep it in front of you. Maybe that's Jack's philosophy. Again, I don't have a problem with that if it's working. If it's not broken, don't fix it. But it's not working. Teams are going on 13 play drives against us. They are eating up the clock. They are getting in the end zone. They are scoring points. So you got to change something. It'd be one thing if we were going all New England Patriots of the mid-2000s into the 2010s, where, hey, you can have all the yards you want. You can look up after the game and have 407 yards of total offense. But your ass only got, 19 points. Your ass only got 22 points. You only got 20. You only got 17. You got all these drives you want, but you're not getting in the damn end zone. You keep on knocking, but you can't come in. You keep on knocking, but you can't come in. You keep on driving, but you ain't getting in the end zone. Well, that's not the case for us. We're not Christine, okay? You can keep on knocking. You're going to get in against us. That's the problem. For the Giants, they didn't get in. For the and the Chargers, to a lesser degree, because of the turnovers, they didn't get in either. But the Bills, they got in. They got in. 4 of 6 in the red zone. Anyway, I digress. Gregory Marston, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Gregory, writes, regardless of draft position or salary, who is underperforming on the defense? Who is in danger of being replaced or playing less within a game or two? I don't think you're going to see a lot of change right now. I don't think they're panicking from the standpoint of, in order to get these guys to, weather the storm, so to speak, and play through adversity, they have to go through these rough patches to understand what it is the coaching staff is actually looking to get out of them. And that's how, players grow. Sometimes you have growing pains. Sometimes, things don't go. But this is a part of Ron changing the culture. Sometimes guys don't buy in. And if you believe in that player, then you have to get them to buy in. Or else they turn into Morgan Moses and you ship them out. So I don't think, the easiest low-hanging fruit is John Bostic, because they drafted a guy to replace him, essentially, in Jamin Davis, because we're not in our base very often. We're often in some kind of nickel or dime type defense where it's 2 linebackers or 1 linebacker on the field. So they drafted Jamin Davis to essentially take the place of John Bostic in those defensive fronts when we go to 2 or 1 linebacker. And we saw a lot more of that, where we went to 2 backers and we got in our nickel, and it was Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb instead of John Bostic and Cole Holcomb. So Bostic would be the guy that I think is in danger of seeing his snap count decrease. But again, that's dependent upon Jamin Davis continuing to grow, learn, and be ready to take over the defensive calls and get everybody lined up and be a student of the game. But I don't know if we're going to see anybody truly be benched yet on either side of the football. I don't think anybody's been egregious enough to the point where the staff is like, nah, we got to make this change, or else, you know, this guy's killing us right now. I don't think that's the case right now. Hard to say, but I don't see that being the case right now. I know when Curtis Samuel returns to the lineup, whenever that is, if that's this week, next week, or the week thereafter, some guys at the receiver position are going to see a lot less snaps. I think the first guy that probably feels the wrath is Adam Humphries. Maybe it's De'Ami Brown. You know, one of those two guys are going to see their snap count. Not that first week that Curtis Samuel comes back, because they're not going to just throw him out there and he's going to play, 52 snaps in a game where we have 67. That's not going to be what they do in the first, game back. They're going to work him in slowly. So, this about the second, maybe third week that Samuel is back, that's when you're going to start to see somebody's snap count decrease significantly. I'd venture to say it's Adam Humphries, but I could be wrong. We'll see. Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, what's that saying? September showers bring fall flowers. Not quite. Not quite. I think it's something like April showers bring May flowers. I think that's the saying, but we'll see what happens. Maybe they do say that, and I'm just not aware of that. But anyway, I digress. I think that's the last super chat of the night. So I think we are poised to get out of here, and that is our last super chat of the night. So with that said, we're going to close up shop for the night. We have Thursday night football tomorrow. I'll have another brand spanking new installment of Washington Football Nightly for you guys to consume. We will turn our entire focus to the Atlanta Falcons, get our first look at the Falcons tomorrow, talk about the update of Curtis Samuel at practice, and see what he is doing and how well he's faring and what direction he is trending towards, whether that is playing or not playing in week number 4, among other topics. And then we'll get to Friday's show, and we will have our keys to the game and a prediction. So with that said, I am a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to our beloved Washington football team. Do me a huge solid. If you are out there and haven't done this already, please hit the subscribe button for more great content. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a thing, and hit the like button, as that helps this channel grow immensely. We're just on the doorstep of 200 likes. Still over 300 of you out there. Please hit the like button if you haven't already done so. So in any event, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. Until next time, you guys have a good one. God bless and good night.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hold. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the